Injury lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Welcome into Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 1130 The Tiger. And if you're watching along with us on CST or on YouTube, Hangin with Hester and Hanny, page 104.5 ESPN. Charles Hanagriff along with Jacob Hester, Josh Ward, our audio producer, Paul O'Neill, our video producer, on a little bit of a weather day here in Baton Rouge. That's all I'm going to call it, is a weather day here in Baton Rouge, because we just got a little bit of rain, but we're thinking about you guys down the Gulf Coast as Hurricane Zeta. Boy, it's just late October, man. Hurricane Zeta approaches the Louisiana coast. The news this morning, not unexpected, out of Ed Ogeron in the SEC teleconference about 2 hours ago, that Myles Brennan has not done much, if anything, in practice. And the word is, I don't believe he's going to play. That's a quote. I don't believe he's going to play, but things could change this week. TJ Finley is the starting quarterback for now, and Max Johnson is backup. I think we can all but put this to bed. Not that it was ever, after listening to Ed on Monday, it was never much of a doubt in my mind. I said 20% on Monday, which I thought was high. I said 10% on Tuesday, which I thought was high. And today I'd give you like
zero. Let's just
the percentage that the Atlanta Falcons would lose a game when all they had to do to win it was fall down. Wait, that's a bad example.
That's a bad example. That's high.
As close to zero without being zero as you can get right now, I think is a fair statement.
And what did we talk about last week? You want to make the call as early as you can. All right, so you don't want to get to Friday and, hey, we're still seeing where he's at. No, we're here on Wednesday. Let's go ahead, because today's a work day. Today's a let's get after a day. We need to have our guy who's going to be in the game, who's going to be the starter, get all of the reps. And he's probably not going to get all of them. He's probably going to get 9 out of the 11. I'm sure Max will get some as well. But you didn't really want to leave any doubt. You want to tell your young quarterback, hey, you're going again. This is your week still, so get ready, because you're starting. It's going to be your first road start. I know it's not the road like we know the road to be, but it's still going to be different for you, all those type of things. So I'm a big fan of letting everyone, including the rest of the team, right, kind of know as soon as you possibly can. I'm sure they probably have known. I mean, it's not really been a secret that Myles was extremely doubtful, but it is good to go ahead and say, hey, TJ, it's yours. We'll reassess after this game.
And the only downside to it would have been last week. I don't think there's any downside to it this week. The downside last week is the sooner you let everybody know, you're also letting your opponent know, which doesn't give them a huge advantage, but at that point, at least they know who they are prepping for. This week, you don't have that advantage or that disadvantage, if you want to call it that. Auburn is prepping for TJ Finley. Auburn has been prepping for TJ Finley since Sunday. And whether Myles Brennan made a miraculous recovery or not, they were going to be prepared for TJ Finley. Now, they're preparing for the LSU offense, but they have expected to see TJ Finley. A week ago at this time, nobody had ever seen TJ Finley. Had no idea what to expect in a college game, you know. So there was something to holding the cards a little bit closer to your vest last week until as late as possible. And I think I think the story got out on Thursday afternoon, mid-Thursday afternoon, Thursday afternoon at 3:01. But you know what I'm saying. The idea that you would have some kind of deception. Yeah. You don't have that. You don't have that in your favor this week. Everybody in the world saw TJ Finley last week, and Gus Malzahn and his staff and Kevin Steele certainly saw TJ Finley. So they've been prepping for that. So there's no advantage to you saying, well, we'll wait until Friday. Les would have done that. Yeah. Les would have said, well, he's nicked, and we'll see, and everybody would have known. And I don't even know if Brennan's going to get on the plane and go with him. I guess he will, but I don't know.
Because
I'm going back to the PJ Lonergan thing when he's he's going to start at center and you can get on the plane. But I would think that there would be some
there's a benefit of Myles being there.
There's a benefit of Myles being there, and your travel, your scholarship numbers are such that it's not like Brennan's going to travel and places somebody that would have played.
Right.
Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you get in, your travel squad is 70, I think, in the league, and so sometimes there's some tough decisions where you go. Usually it involves a second kicker or second. But do we want to travel a second punter? Or do we take an extra D
because you have
lineman or
the
something?
5-star freshman who's not playing, but you still want to bring him. So
That's
like
right. That's right. But what happens if my punter pulls a hamstring in warm-ups kind of thing? This is not that. This
not
is
this year, no.
Hey, come on, get on the plane. You know, if your presence on the sideline can help him in any way. Come on.
Even though Myles hasn't been in the fire on the road, his one road game where he's been two road games where he's been the starter. Obviously, it's a different situation. Vanderbilt, Mizzou, and even with the limited fans at Mizzou, it wasn't a big number. There's going to be more people in this stadium, obviously, but he can still take from his experiences in 17, 18, and 19 and just talking with Etling, talking with Burrow, going over things on the sideline, being in the heat of the moment in some of those situations. And there was times in 17 where he did go into pressure situations. I mean, he was in the game against Alabama late in the game in Tuscaloosa in 17. So you can still take something from that. He can help him out. Maybe there's one thing that he can see. And if he can help him one situation on the sideline, then it's definitely worth it to travel him, have him in uniform just like he was last weekend.
All right. So that was the biggest, takeaway. And it doesn't come as any surprise to us. Later on the show today, it's Auburn-centric today. We're going to talk with Ronnie Brown. Ronnie Brown is the sideline reporter for
he's their
for
Gordy
Auburn.
Rush. Who do you have in a race?
Right now?
Right now. Ronnie Brown, Gordy Rush.
Okay, this is going to sound really silly to you because I hadn't seen Ronnie Brown in a long time. You just ought to say, Gordy can still run. I mean, I know that's great. He can still run.
He can still run, but Ronnie Brown is taking care of himself.
Okay, then Ronnie Brown. Okay, I mean, you think
we know Gordy can run. We saw the pro day footage.
Sometimes you see ex-athletes when you haven't seen them in a long time, and it's like, oh, they don't look like an athlete anymore. And
why are you looking squarely at me right now?
I'm because we do this show together. You're sitting right there. Who else would I look at? I'm not looking at Paul O'Neill. It's not the Paul O'Neill that played for the Yankees.
Paul could really run, maybe.
Paul, can you run? I don't think Paul can run.
He said it kind of quick. I don't think he can.
Paul can't run.
That's great.
But sometimes you see ex-athletes and they don't exactly look like they did in their playing days. Gordy can still run.
Okay. Sucking up to the boss. I get it.
Ask him. He'll tell you. Okay. I mean, but seriously, he can still run. Anyway, I don't know how we got off on that. And Cole Kublik, who does a great job.
I like to veer a little bit.
Plus, Cole Kublik is with us. Billy Embody with us at 1:00. We'll talk with Billy about recruiting. And
I love some of the latest things LSU's done in recruiting.
And I have some concerns, about some of the things that are going on in recruiting. So good. We'll have a nice mix there.
Let's have that debate before Billy comes on, so he can be like the final verdict.
Okay. I want to know why Sage Ryan's going to Alabama. you want to know what my concerns are? Yeah. They start there. We'll ask Billy all about those things. The other big story in college football is that Wisconsin-Nebraska has been canceled for the weekend. Now, Wisconsin was down to their fourth-string quarterback due to COVID.
Yeah.
Mertz, who was their backup quarterback a month ago, and then Jack Cohn broke his foot. Head surgery. Mertz takes over. The redshirt freshman as a starting quarterback. Opens up 20 for 21 for 5 touchdowns in his debut, and then comes down with COVID. It's almost like winning the World Series and coming down with COVID. Oh, wait, we got that story later on today, too. But there was enough of an outbreak inside of Wisconsin that they have had to shut down their game with Nebraska this week. In fact, they've shut down all of their football activities for at least a week. All of the fear mongers are out again today. We told you this was going to happen. Actually, the people that wanted you to try to get the season done told you that this was going to happen. This is why we told you to start a month ago to build in extra off weeks. Or gasp, oh my goodness, they may actually have to cancel a football game and not reschedule it. Yes, right, okay. Once again, same song, second verse. If somebody gets sick, you send them home. If enough of people on this whole team get sick, you send them all home. Florida sent them all home last week. It doesn't mean Wisconsin football is over forever. Even if it's over for the year, it's not over forever. You send the sick people home, you let the well people go to work, and go on with your day. Report the news. I get it, but not, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. Somebody was going to get sick. Yes, somebody tested positive. In fact, half a dozen of them tested positive, okay? And so, you know what you do? You send the sick people home. I was one of the sick people on Saturday, okay? Came down with a fever. You know what they did? They sent me home. Took my fever broke. I took some medicine. Went Sunday, got tested negative, went back to work on Monday, okay? Happens. Didn't we know this was going to happen? Hey, guess what? Newsflash. Going to be another Big Ten game canceled at some point. Going to be another SEC games canceled at some point. LSU had one canceled week and a half ago. Did we shut the whole facility down? Did we shut the whole operation down? Did we shut college football down? No. Postponed it for a week. Sent the sick people home. The sick people got well. You sent them back to work. All right. Done with that topic. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GoTro's Outdoor Power, helping you with our friends over at SCAG, get you into the top zero-turn units on the market. Hey, listen, we're obviously through summer and we're into the fall months, so they've got some of the 2020 units that need to go. You can make a deal. And with 60 months interest-free financing, you can definitely make a deal on a SCAG, whether it's a residential or a commercial unit.
Oh, you're right. They've got whatever you need. They've got residential. They've got commercial. They've got in between. Anything that you need to make sure your job gets done, you can get it over at GoTro's with their SCAG Power equipment. You got 2 locations locally, Airline at Industriaplex in Baton Rouge, Airline 74 in Gonzales, and always online at GoTro'sOutdoorPower.com. Free delivery across the state of Louisiana. So go check out the website and find something you love, because we know that you will. GoTro's Outdoor Power. We make it easy.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is it, what smart customers wait for all year. The Richards Honda Trade-In, Trade-Up event. Right now, get more money for your trade and a great price on something new. That's a win-win. Only at richardshonda.com. The smart choice.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Upgrading your ride is as easy as richardshonda.com during the Trade-In, Trade-Up event. It's a once-a-year event with great prices on every vehicle in stock. So trade up today. I-12 at Millerville.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell, and Ed Ogeron will update Myles Brennan's status. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Billy Embody with us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. I've been dying to ask you this since about 9:30, 9:45 last night. You remember that game you had against Florida in 2007?
2007.
Yeah, it's a fairly important game. Yeah, okay, right, all right. And you made, LSU made 5 fourth downs in the game, and I believe you were the ball carrier on 4 of those, or was it all 5?
No, it went off 5. I think it was 3.
3, okay.
Because Matt Flynn, fake field goal,
was one of them. All right, so that's 3.
I was a lead blocker, so let's just give it to me, not Flynn.
The drive that won the game was 10 plays, I remember, something like that, 10, 11 plays.
Yeah, it was a long one.
Yeah. What if, in the middle of that drive, after you had made 2 of the 3 first downs, and LSU had driven the ball to, say, the 25-yard line, give or take, somewhere, in the vicinity of the red zone, Les Miles called you over and said, Hester, you're out. We feel like after this many runs, you're out of gas. You're done. Okay. We have run enough trial simulations of running backs to know that they've only got so many fourth downs in them, and you have reached your limit. You can no longer go into the game. We're going to take you out. How'd you felt?
We'd have had a real conversation.
Yeah.
It would have been unpleasant to watch.
Now, it's not a perfect analogy because football players, like basketball players, can come out of the game and go back into the game. But in baseball, once you leave the game, you can no longer go back into the game, which is why Blake Snell coming out of the game last night pitching a 2-hit shutout was just absolutely – can you be astonished and not surprised at the same time? Because I was astonished that Cash took him out of the game, but yet not at all surprised because this is what the Rays do. And if the Rays say, well, this is how we got to Game 6 of the World Series. Okay, but I've watched baseball my entire life, and I know that when you get into elimination games of the World Series, that things change. Yes. Randy Johnson doesn't normally pitch in relief, right?
No.
Okay.
Neither does Bumgarner.
Jack Morris doesn't usually go 10 innings, does he?
Let's don't talk about Jack Morris in the World Series, but I get your point.
Okay. All right. So when you got your guy, this is I'm sorry. When you got your dude.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
You got your dude out there, and your dude is dealing, man. Your dude is giving up 2 hits and no walks. And he's faced 18 batters, and he has struck out half of them. And 6 of those have come against Betts, Seager, and Turner.
The guy's coming up.
The dude's coming up, okay? Mookie Betts is a dude, right? Okay, all right.
I got to give him
that. And you say to yourself, this would be a very good time to take Blake Snell out of the game. Now, look. Nick Anderson had an unbelievable regular season. He has struggled somewhat in the postseason in that he's given up. I'm not going to say that Anderson's not an outstanding pitcher. He hasn't been of late, but even if he had gone through, okay, and he had been lights out the last 3 times out, I don't know if he's going to be lights out this time, but I know the guy out there is going to be lights out because he's been lights out for 5 innings.
And I know you're an analytics team. I know that you follow it by the book. That's why you're in this position. That's why your payroll's $28 million and you can be in the World Series because you follow it to the letter. Everything that the analytics say, you follow that. I understand that, and I appreciate it. right? When you look at their stats, there's a lot of guys in their lineup that they do not make your eyes pop when you look at it, but they serve a purpose within that lineup. Same thing across the bullpen. We know all that. But you have a superstar. You have a guy that's won a Cy Young Award. Now, I know he's been up and down, but he's got the stuff, and he is dealing. And the guys coming up have all struck out every time they faced him tonight. And you take him out? That to me, and to a bullpen that in the regular season was fantastic, but to your point, they have been struggling. Some of their main arms, even in situations where they've gotten out of the jam, they've gotten in some big-time jams and been able to find a way, bases loaded, one out type stuff, and found a way, but they've had runners on. I was shocked when he got pulled out of the game. Thought there was no way. This is who they're going with. They're gonna ride their horse, and if he falls off, okay, we're gonna tip our cap to you. I'm all for analytics if it works for you, but this one you got to throw the book out.
73 pitches in Game 6. His next start ain't till next April. Good Lord willing, we have baseball next April. I think he's going to be well rested. I think he's ready. And did he want to come out of the game?
Oh, no.
How are my lip reading skills? I think they're advanced enough to where I could make out what he was saying, and I can't repeat it without getting fined. So I think he wanted to stay in the game. Mark Teixeira is one of the baseball analysts on ESPN. He had a great line after the game. Carl Ravitch asked him, he says, what would you, if you had been one of the top 3 hitters in the lineup on the other side and you had seen him take Snell out, what would have been your reaction? He goes, we'd have been high-fiving in the dugout. Like, we got that guy out of the game. Any baseball, player that is being shut down by a guy who's clearly got his stuff. You strike out Mookie Betts twice. You strike out Seager twice. You strike out Turner twice. Man, look, you doing something. In the World Series, I mean, have you seen what Corey Seager is hitting in the World Series? Have you seen what Mookie Betts is hitting in the postseason? I mean, these guys are pretty good. Turner's the heartbeat of that team. Those 3 guys were 0 for 6 strikeouts. Those are the 3 guys that are coming up. Rays were leading 1-0 at the time. It took them 6 pitches to lose the lead in the World Series. So where was Moneyball born? Moneyball was born in Oakland, right?
Yeah. The Bean.
Yeah. Decent movie, better book, much better book.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, if you can talk about an entire season without talking about not one time mentioning the MVP of that team or the 3 starting pitchers that won 70 games. But anyway.
Scott Hattiesburg, though.
Yeah, right. They won because of Scott Hatteberg. The Oakland A's, since Moneyball was born, have made the playoffs 11 times in roughly 20 years, depending on what year you think that Moneyball was actually born. But in 2 decades, they've made the playoffs 11 times. And they've done it with a payroll that is a fraction of the teams that they have gone up against. I mean, the Angels have outspent them, I want to say something like 6-1, and I may be shooting low. And the A's have beaten them way more often than not.
Yeah.
But when they've gotten to the postseason, Oakland has not won the World Series. I'm not saying it's because they made decisions like last night. I'm saying that sometimes analytics is a far better tool in a 162-game season than it is in a 7-game series. And sometimes you have to trust your eyes. And that's why I understand that the role of the manager has been largely reduced, that it has been formulated and decided beforehand. Cash can't actually look out at that. I mean, the guy's a baseball guy, okay? He can't possibly. I know he went out and put out the company line last night after the game. I know that he has to do things a certain way. I'm sure it's in his contract that, hey, listen, you don't follow these rules when it comes to third time through the lineup, and we're going to find somebody who is. So he's sitting on the top step of the dugout going, he's got to be. I'm speculating, of course. I'm not in a man's head, but he's got to be. Everything in my body says leave this guy in. But my job is to take this guy out. My job is to go out and make the unpopular decision, and my job is to stand up in front of the reporters in a press conference after and tell them why. But he can't possibly. I want to get the guy a cocktail. I want to sit him down with no microphones and no cameras on a veranda somewhere in Florida at spring training next year and say, man, did you want to take him out? And I'll bet you he says, hell no, I didn't want to take him out.
And I know the previous game that Snell pitched, the third time they saw him, they had success, but you can tell when a Cy Young Award winner is in his zone. Yep. You can tell when he's feeling it. You can tell when he's got every pitch and he feels confident with every pitch. And he had that last night. So not every start is created equal. You can tell when your guy is dealing. And so that was the frustrating thing if you're a Rays fan, and if you're just a fan of baseball who's seeing a really good pitcher go out there and dominate like that. So, yeah, he would tell you, nah, I didn't want to do it.
There's room for analytics, okay? There's a lot of room for analytics in baseball. I'm not so old school that I'm like, oh, man, take all of those numbers and throw them in the garbage. No, I think when you're talking about a start in July and you say, man, look, it's time for him to get out. I need this guy for another 15 starts the rest of the year. I need this guy to shoulder the load when I get to the postseason. I don't want to overwork him. Not that 73 pitches is overworking. Or that, hey, listen, he may get these guys out this time, but he's going to see this operation another 10 times, and I don't want people to see him third time through the rotation. There's room for that, okay? And there's room for shifts and all of the things that they do. But in Game 6 of the World Series, when my dude is duding, okay, my dude is going to stay out there until my dude can't go no more. Anyway, if you watch the rest of the game.
How that we're playing that after our conversation, guy or dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be a segment.
It does.
I'm just saying.
So if you weren't watching the game, the 9-hole hitter, Barnes, got a hit. They took Snell out of the game. Betts comes up, Betts doubles, and then there's a wild pitch that scores a tying run, a ground out that scores a winning run, the go-ahead run, which turned out to be the winning run, and the Dodgers win the World Series 3-1.
Yeah, Dodgers win the World Series. If there was only a team that was up 3-1 against said Dodgers and couldn't finish it. I know we are long for a break, and I don't want to talk about the World Series anymore because I have to remember the Dodgers won the World Series, and we do have some news that we need to react to on the other side. LSU sophomore defensive tackle Pu Ika is planning on entering his name into the NCAA transfer portal that comes from Brody Miller of The Athletic. I think 247 Sports had it first, so definitely something to react to.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask Billy Embody about. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Tiger Air, an independent dealer of the American Standard heating and air conditioning system. If you like saving money, you're going to love this unit because when I put one in my home several years ago, I saw an immediate decrease in my energy bills. The efficiency of the system is second to none, and the programmable thermostat will mean that you will never waste energy again because you program it to your daily routines, and if your daily routine changes, you can change it with your cell phone. And right now, as we head into the cooler months, and you want to get that unit checked because hey, at some point in the near future, you're gonna have to put that heater on.
You're exactly right, and that's coming here in the near future. At least we hope so. A little cooler weather, right? That Comfort Assurance Protection Plan allows you to get seasonal maintenance to make sure that you are ready for the fall. You're ready for that heater to come on. You're going to get discounts on parts and labor as part of that protection plan. Lower utilities. Everyone likes saving money. You're going to get a discounted rate on emergency and priority service as well. You're going to have increased comfort with your equipment. All that's because Tiger Air is the best. Go ahead and check them out online at tiger-air.com. Pick up the phone. Give them a call at 225-754-8687.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Tune into a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time. We're live from Snow's Seafood and Steak over in Gonzales from 6 to 8 p.m. Come see us and say hello or listen here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Okay, you had the news. You want to go first? That Ike headed to the transfer portal.
Yeah, and I know 247 Sports had it a little bit earlier. I saw it from Brody Miller of The Athletic, and he said LSU sophomore defensive tackle Pooh Ika is planning on entering his name into the NCAA transfer portal. Now we remember Ika played a role, definitely a role in the 2019 national championship team. This year, a little bit different. Didn't play against Mizzou. I know a lot of people are going to point to, well, he's a 3-4 nose tackle, not a 4-3 nose tackle. But planning. We'll see if it becomes officially official. This was a guy that I had high aspirations for coming into the season, even with the change, because if you know defense, yes, there's a difference between a 3-4 and a 4-3, but a head up is a head up. A shade is a shade. Different techniques. It might be on a guard opposed to a center. You can still get a lot of use out of a guy like a Pooh Ika in whatever system that it is. And I was surprised this year that he hasn't played more. Joseph Evans took over that role. And, of course, Joseph Evans bounced back and forth, defense, offense to defense, right? Very talented guy and, had a really, really good camp coming in, but a little surprising.
Let me speak to the schematics first. How many times is LSU last year when a true 3-4 defense, 3 linemen, 4 linebackers on the field?
Not very often.
Not very often. How much have they been in a true 4-3 defense this year? 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers on the field.
Not often.
Almost never. Okay. Yeah. So can we the 3-4 versus the 4-3 is in large part due to one thing, which is, does one defensive lineman end up putting his hand in the ground? Because when it was Chason last year, he was on the line of scrimmage. He was the 4th lineman. There were 2 linebackers in the game, unless there was 1 and there were 6 defensive backs.
No.
Okay. There were, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? you watch way more film than me. You got Chason that's up near the line of scrimmage, probably in a 2-point stance. You've got 2 linebackers on the field, 5 defensive backs, and 3 other what we would call down defensive linemen, which were Shelvin, Lawrence, and Logan most of the time. Okay. How many times did Shelvin line up directly on the nose? Sometimes, but not all the time, right?
Not all the time. No.
Okay. And when Ika went in for Shelvin, he plays the same position. Yeah. So you're playing in a, like you said, shade of 3 technique. You're playing off the nose a lot of the time in last year's defense. So let's not say that they're going from the wishbone to the run and shoot here, the defensive comparison here. We're talking about alignment of 4 inches. I mean, so I'm kind of loath to think that this is about schematics. Okay, they were starting to put the 4-3 in back in the spring. They went through the 4-3 all summer. They started the season with the 4-3. I don't think Apu Ika woke up this morning and said, you know what, I hate the 4-3, I'm out of here.
No.
Now, did he wake up this morning and say, I want to play more? I'll buy that. Okay. Maybe he's not as comfortable in this scheme as he was in the other one for whatever reason, but I mean, he sat out an entire game, which that doesn't compute because they rotate those defensive linemen. So why didn't he at all?
Right.
Okay, come on. I don't care what Missouri's running. They're not running anything that is unique to college football. Yeah. And I think he had 18 snaps on Saturday. That's an unofficial count, but it was somewhere.
Which is about a number that you would expect from a defensive tackle that rotates.
I expect a little bit more than that out of a start. What I consider him a starter. Okay, if
you got young guys that are coming, and that's the problem. That's where your playing time went.
Okay, well, and that's fine too. South Carolina snapped the ball. I think it was 68 times in the game. So if you're saying out of 68 snaps, you were in there for 51 snaps. 51 snaps for South Carolina. You were in there for, let's say I'm wrong on the 18. I forgot where I got that number. But let's say you played a third of 51. How many plays would you think a starter, a defensive tackle in a 51 snap game would play?
Like the true starter going out there first snap, 30.
Yeah, I would say 30 to 35. So he played less than that. Why? You got the answer right there. There's other guys that are playing well and are playing. So, and I don't know if this is about playing time, but generally that's what it's about. I mean, transfers happen for all kind of reasons. All right, you get a guy that you change coaches, he doesn't like the new coach. Is that the case? I don't know. You get a guy that has been injured, hasn't had a chance to get in, he needs a change of scenery. Fine. You get a guy that gets homesick, he wants to go home. Okay, fine. You get a guy gets in trouble off the field, which he's been in none. All right, that's another reason. But most of the transfers go back to playing time. Yeah. They're not playing as much as they want to, and they think they can play more somewhere else.
Yeah, and him and Braden Fehoko were extremely close, right? And he's now a part of the Chargers, and he didn't have his guy, and he's from Utah. I mean, that could play a factor. Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes guys get homesick, sure.
Yeah, but a lot of times it does come down to how many snaps have I played? Am I a starter? How much playing time am I going to get? What's my playing time going to look like? Is there going to be things that are set up for me to have success? No question about it.
I mean, of all of the transfers, and we're seeing way more than we used to. It's easier to transfer now than it's ever been in college football. What percentage would you say are over playing time?
Yeah, 85.
I was going to say 80. Yeah. They're over playing time. Like I said, sometimes you get some off the field things. Sometimes you get homesick. Sometimes you get crossways with a coach. But most of the time, this is over playing time. And he's obviously not getting as much as he thinks he should.
Yeah, and this isn't unique to LSU. I mean, there's a mass exodus right now at Mississippi State, including their star player that we know far too well in Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill has decided he's not playing anymore. He's going to get ready for the NFL draft. When you look at how they were utilizing him, he's like, oh, it was fun the first game. I caught all those balls, but we didn't run the football. I'm running back. I wanted to hate Kylan. I could have told you before the season that was how it was going to play out.
The number of opt-outs and transfers in college football is not going to go down as the season as this season progresses. It's going to go up. I mean, it's going to go up. A lot of these guys, they're like, let me put enough good tape out there, and then let me see where the team is. And if the team's not exactly where I want them to be, I'm out. We've seen a lot of this already. Puka Williams, okay, just to pick a name, went out there, returned the last time he ever touched the ball for Kansas, returned a kickoff for a touchdown, and like Forrest Gump through the tunnel, just kept on running. Okay, bye-bye, I'm out. And you're going to see more of that. It's a stupid year. Now, this is not an opt-out. This is a transfer portal thing. This is I have college football eligibility left next year, and I want to play somewhere else. So they got to figure out why. My guess is it's over playing time. That could be completely wrong.
I should say, I know that it's not the name that Puka. Puka was a guy that you felt like you stole in recruiting, and it was a fun story. And
I liked him. I thought he was a good player.
Coach O talked about him a bunch, and he, helped out the 2019 defensive line. There's no question about it. He was a player on that defensive line. But you're going to play the best guy for your LSU. It's not like you're going out there, and Coach O loved this guy, right? Joseph Evans has played really well. And if anybody wants to debate that, I'd love to break down the film. I know he doesn't show up necessarily on the stat line, although he did have half a sack in this game against South Carolina. He's done a really nice job of pushing the pile, being in the right gap, all the things. And that's with him playing offensive line a couple of months ago, right? Mm-hmm. He kind of flip-flopped back and forth. They were trying to find somewhere to put him because they felt like he was one of the best 30 players on the team. So he has played well. You got Glenn Logan, who came back, and you've got Neil Farrell, who came back, and then you've got Jaquelin Roy, who's kind of stepped up. So there has been other guys that have pressed that competition. It's not like Puka doesn't have other guys that have really been fighting for playing time.
We'll take a break. Hanging with Hester and Hanny is brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
With property improvements, usually it involves some digging. Well, what are you doing? You putting in some landscaping? You planting a tree? You putting up another building on your property, a fence or a swimming pool or whatever it is that involves you digging? Please call 811 first. I implore you. Well, there's all kinds of good reasons. It's pretty simple to do. 811. It's only 3 numbers. Give them your address. Somebody will come out and mark the location of all the buried lines within 48 hours. It's free. Don't cost nothing. And it's the law. So before you hit one of those lines and cause yourself or your neighbors all those problems, call 811.
It is free. It is the law, and it is easy. In fact, you can do more than just dial 811. Now, that's extremely easy, but you can also click at Louisiana811.com. You can submit your ticket right there on the website. So multiple ways to get this done. It's something that all you do is set it up, and they come and do the work. They mark the lines of where you can and cannot dig. So make sure that you visit Louisiana811.com. Know what's below. Call 811.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
During times of trouble, hope keeps us calm, and courage keeps us strong. Here in Louisiana, we know this better than most. After all, we've faced hardship, but hurricanes and floods never washed away what makes us strong. It's our culture, the spirit of resilience that says rise and rise up again. We'll make it through the tough times, we always do. And Blue Cross will always be here to support you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
They are exactly the same.
They're identical. Actually, they're not. Has2 also has antioxidant vitamin C.
Antioxidant?
Then we'll take Has2.
Given the choice, why wouldn't you choose the one with antioxidant vitamin C? Choose Vizzy Hard Seltzer.
Do you have or have you had COVID-19? Antibody screening or rapid molecular testing can tell you. Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours offers both with results from molecular testing in minutes. Learn more at lakeurgentcare.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat.
Coming up on Thursdays, Off the Bench, Chef Michael Johnson answers your munchie questions. Chad Durbin recaps World Series. And Big Cat joins us to send Ben Mintz off to the Big Apple. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Today's show brought to you in part by Supreme Rice, supremerice.com, down in Southwest Louisiana, serving our state and the surrounding areas since the 1930s down in Crowley. Support our Louisiana farmers. All of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed right here in Louisiana. Delicious recipes that you can make with Supreme Rice. We do this at our house quite often, as a matter of fact, whether you like the long grain or the brown or the jasmine rice, which is now available in the 5-pound bag. It just happens to be our favorite. Use Supreme Rice for all your jambalayas, all your etouffees, all your stews, all of your dishes that involve rice. Just maybe a simple rice and gravy like one of our friends on Twitter sent to us this weekend. Use Supreme Rice. Very easy to get, cost efficient. Stretch your food dollar. Walmart, all of your Costco's, all of your AG food dealers. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com.
You know, you talk about Hunt not bringing pizza in here.
I never bring any rice.
I ain't seen the first green.
Well, okay, so if I brought a bag of Supreme Rice in here,
man, it can be uncooked.
I'll bring you some to bring home to cook. But wouldn't it be better if we
right?
Wouldn't it be better if we cooked it and brought it? See, you missed out on the last time we did hurricane coverage. Okay, Tracy cooked. She cooked some stew, and I brought stew up for everybody, but you weren't for the hurricane coverage.
I'll be quiet now.
I was actually glad that we're not forced to do hurricane coverage. Although a lot of schools are closing today, including LSU and Southern. So do take your precautions.
Yeah, no,
today.
my boys, both of my boys' school, they said, "Hey, come get them at noon." So
what are we going to get to when we total up 2020? And by the way, New Year's Eve can't get here fast enough. But when we total up, somebody will do this. I'm too lazy to do it, but somebody will do this. Somebody will total up the number of postponements, cancellations, all of the things that 2020 took, and they'll put a total together of the number of people that were infected, the number of people that lost their lives, and the number of people that lost
a lot,
business, jobs, homes, the whole deal. And then you'll get into we'll do a sports version of this that'll be pretty comprehensive. How many games did you lose? How many things were supposed to happen in 2020 that didn't happen? And here in Louisiana, when they come to that grand total of what COVID took in 2020 from a game standpoint, leagues, revenue, the whole deal, then we'll say, hang on, hold my beer. I got to add in the hurricane stuff too in Louisiana for multiple hurricanes hitting the state. That is going to be an ungrand total, I can tell you, whenever that does come down.
Yeah, I don't want to have to put that together. That's going to take a long time.
And it's depressing, so I'm going to let somebody else do that. In fact, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe that number would be a little bit too depressing. Hey, let me get off of that topic. Let me move to something that was in a positive yesterday from a standpoint of how many times have you been to the opening press conference for the coach, regardless of sport? It's usually a pretty positive day, right? The coach, if you can't win the opening press conference, then chances are it's not going to go well. The coaches winning the opening press conference is akin to the winning percentage of the Harlem Globetrotters. Okay, they almost never lose. And Stan Van Gundy didn't disappoint yesterday. He did a very nice job, I thought, in opening comments for the New Orleans Pelicans. I thought that it was an upbeat thing, which you would expect with him. The two things that came out of it that I expected, and or what I'm the reason I'm most hopeful for him is effort and defense, which are kind of the same thing. Those are the things that were too often lacking from the Pelicans in Alvin Gentry's tenure. There were times
and you always knew they were.
There were times where they went out there where it just didn't look like they were into it, and then there were times that went out there that they were into it on the offensive end, but could not possibly have cared less about playing defense. And Van Gundy is a serious upgrade in the defensive schematics, and I think that they're going to push him every single day. So we know that part is going to be better. He's been a much better regular season coach, and there's a better chance that they'll get into the playoffs. Now, long term, is this going to work? It'll depend on his relationship with Zion. And I was kind of like everything else in 2020. I would have rather seen them all in the same room. You get a kind of a vibe, a feel. I've been in these things where when Les Miles was introduced, when Nick Saban was introduced, when Jerry DiNardo was introduced, you kind of look around the room and you go, "Who's here? Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Who's this guy moving?" And you see sometimes former players, administrators. You see some of the players themselves come into the room. I remember when Miles was introduced. Some of the players looking at it like, "What's this guy about?" I would have, of course, all of this was on Zoom, but I would have liked to have seen yesterday. It would have been nice to see Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, standing in the back of the room watching the new coach and trying to, get that immediate reaction. I know that this is not normal. Their time off is precious to them, and they wouldn't have been able to go anyway with the COVID stuff.
Right.
But you do try to kind of get a feel for what it is. I know Griffin's all in. He went through a long process with this guy. He feels like he's the guy. I have my doubts. I think he's an upgrade. I have my doubts long term, but it's going to be, as it is with every NBA team, do you get along with your superstar?
Yep.
And if you want to say superstars, because this team's got Zion and Ingram is still, he's currently the All-Star. Yeah. So maybe it's two of them in this case. That's where your long-term success is going to live or die. Do those guys buy in? Do they lead? Do they follow? Do they follow what you're saying and lead the rest of the team?
Here's the thing that I think is important for them. Drew Holiday and J.J. Redick look like they're both going to stay on this roster because of who they hired. J.J. Redick's bought in. He's played for him before. He was a full endorser of this move. Okay, I would assume Drew Holiday is going to buy all in because what Stan Van Gundy looks for, Drew does really good. Okay, so when you have two veteran players like that, they're the voice of the locker room. You want the guys to form their own opinion, but I've been in too many locker rooms. Hey, what's he think? Oh, he's on board? Okay, I'm on board. Drew's on board? Yeah, I'm good. That definitely plays. And so when your older players are bought in, when your veteran leaders are bought in, it makes it so much easier. And you know for a fact that JJ is because, like I said, he's been championing this move, okay? I would assume Drew, would be as well. So that goes a long way. That goes a long way to getting everybody on the same page. Now, I never know what the Ball family's thinking, so I don't know where Lonzo Ball's mind is. But I would assume, hey, you're going to be a defensive guy. We're going to do this with your game. He really had nice things to say about Lonzo Ball's game before he took the job. I mean, we're talking 6 months ago before he even knew that this was an opportunity that he would have. He talked really glowingly about what he thinks he could be. So if I'm the Pelicans, I'm like, hey, listen, this is what he thinks about you before he even thought about taking this job. Let's go grow together.
You know that veranda in Florida that was taking Kevin Cash out for with the bottle of whiskey so we can get in the truth tree? You know,
yes,
so we can get the truth. All right. As soon as I'm done with him, Drew, sit down. All right, let's talk. Because you have an opt-out in your contract year after next that before COVID was just automatic. You know, the player of his caliber, you're going to opt out. Now, with the revenues where they are, opting out is no longer a no-brainer. There may not be, given the revenue sharing and the cash available in free agency, that is no longer the 2021-2022 season that he is under contract for with the Pelicans would have been an automatic opt-out. I mean, it's close to automatic as you can get without a catastrophic injury. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, right.
So now it's like, hey, Drew, now given the idea that you're going to be here at least 2 more years, or a good chance you'll be here at least 2 more years, what do you think? You going to buy him? When I'm done with him, Zion, sit down. I want to know what you think, too. Billy Embody, when we come back at the top of the hour, we're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Do you know the proper way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in your office? We do. We're Hanny, a leader in the cleaning industry for over 30 years, and we've developed comprehensive programs to address proper cleaning and disinfection. We have experience in applying disinfecting programs in hospitals, office buildings, schools, and other venues. Now we're ready to help and able to assist customers that need disinfecting services.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, brought to you by Richards Honda. Home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. If you're listening along with us up in Shreveport on 1130 The Tiger, welcome in, or watch it on CST or on YouTube, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, or 104.5 ESPN. Bring in Billy Embody from Go 247. Billy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. Not even going to attempt to bury the lead here because the chat's going crazy, and even if it wasn't, this would be where we were starting first, and that's with Sage Ryan, the safety from Lafayette. From Lafayette Christian, he has announced that he will announce on Saturday his commitment, and you, along with a number of others, Shea Dixon included, on Go 247, are now predicting that he will go to Alabama. So the question is, intense breeding ground for LSU recruits down in Lafayette, and his ties to the Falcons. Why do you believe Sage Ryan is going to Alabama?
I think this is a recruitment that, for Sage, when you talk with him, and this dates back to when he blew up at the Nike opening regional combine back in 2018 even, where he's just mature. I mean, he's really mature beyond his years. He takes everything into account when making decisions. He does his research. He's always been very complimentary of any program that's recruited him and given them a chance. And I think on LSU's side, you have the family ties. You have, obviously, Kevin Falk, who's his cousin, who's the running backs coach, has been recruiting him. Trev Falk is his uncle, who played at LSU, of course, played for Nick Saban, coincidentally. And then you have Corey Raymond, who recruits defense backs as well as probably anybody in the country. And those were the two main recruiters on him. And for a while, it was just, if there's any prospect that you add all those things up and you say, wow, that sure seems like an LSU lock, an LSU type of player, it'd be Sage Ryan. And position of need, early playing time, he's probably a day one starter if he goes to LSU. And, I just think they faded in his recruitment. I think Alabama just was so relentless. Nick Saban was really, really involved in his recruitment. Pete Golding did a really nice job recruiting him. And, kind of out in the Acadiana area last cycle, Alabama's right there for Kayshon Boutte, too. And I think that they just kind of picked up where they left off recruiting Sage. And, sometimes I think sometimes these prospects just get to a point where they're okay with their decision to potentially leave Louisiana and play college football elsewhere. And the way Alabama recruited him, they just checked all the boxes. I mean, I think his family's on board with it. His immediate family, I guess I should say. They just did a really nice job, and all the buzz, especially in the last probably 48 hours, has been on Bama for sure. And it's been growing over the last 2 weeks. So that's kind of how we got to this point.
Billy, you understand that when you say that Alabama was relentless and LSU was fading, you realize how hard that is for an LSU fan to wrap their head around that Alabama, that what you're saying essentially is that Alabama outworked LSU to get a kid out of Lafayette?
Yeah, and it sounds obviously crazy, right? But I don't think recruiting, especially during the pandemic, is all about phone calls, text messages, every day checking in, hey, how are you? I think it's about being creative. And I just think Bama, and I've heard similar things on Clemson and Ohio State, have just done a really good job being creative in recruiting high-end prospects. And I'm not saying LSU forgot how to recruit. They've got a top 5 class. I don't think, and as bad as this miss would be for LSU, just with all the optics around it, this isn't a situation where, LSU is going to completely fall off the wagon recruiting. And that's just not, I don't think, something that's going to happen. It's just kind of a perfect storm where, like I said, the optics will end up being so bad on it. But, sometimes it was almost for the last few months that you kind of felt like, okay, Bama and Clemson were trying to flip Sage Ryan from LSU just because of how confident people were on LSU's side of things. A lot of people around him were saying, certainly that he was listening to Bama and Clemson, but, until you believe it with a prospect like that, or until you see it with a prospect like that, can you really believe it that he wouldn't stay in state? And I just think Bama just did a tremendous job in their messaging and all of those things. And it just, at this point, it seems like it's all adding up to Alabama for sure.
Now, I know, Billy, we could sit here and we could talk the entire interview on Sage Ryan because he is a 5-star guy out of the state of Louisiana, but there's other 5-star players in the state of Louisiana that have not yet committed to his school. Of course, we're talking about Mason Smith, the 5-star out of Houma. We're talking about, 4-star prospect Brian Thomas. What's the latest you're hearing there with those prospects?
Yeah, I think the big thing with Brian Thomas right now is LSU just has to hang in there. I think right now they've trended away after Brian Thomas's recruitment kind of reminded me of Jacqueline Roy's last cycle, where over the summer it really seemed like people were pegging him to LSU, and there was a lot of people around him and just around Walker and everything like that saw him as an end of the summer commitment to LSU, and he dragged it out, is dragging it out, and right now if he had to commit, I highly doubt it'd be to LSU, but with him wanting to drag it out, that's kind of a bright side for LSU because he's not set a commitment date. I don't think he's anywhere close to making an announcement. I think right now he's certainly trending away from LSU, but there's a lot of time for them to catch up in that one. And I think you'll see a push. I think maybe the Sage Ryan situation and recruitment is a wake-up call for LSU in a way. And like I said, they've got a top 5 class. They're doing a good job. But, whenever something like that happens, it makes you circle the wagons a little bit and reassess, I think. With Mason Smith, Alabama and Georgia are certainly pressing there. The thing about Mason, though, is he's been borderline recruiting for LSU, and he's another prospect. He's going to complement all the schools he looks at, really goes in depth, all of those things. But the good thing for LSU is there's a lot of positivity, I would say, around Mason Smith, while now also noting that you can expect the unexpected when a prospect like Sage Ryan goes – or should, I would think at this point, ends up going to Alabama. So Mason Smith, I think, is the one right now that we're most confident on in terms of ending up at LSU. He's talked with Corey Foreman about being a package deal, and Mason Smith cut Southern Cal out of that, which means it's really Georgia or LSU that Corey Foreman and Mason Smith could be a package deal at. And I'm not sold on that yet, but that's what they've been talking about. So I think LSU's still in a good spot for Mason Smith. LSU's going to land their fair share of elite talent out of Louisiana. I don't think they're going to come up snake eyes at this point. It's not looking great on Brian Thomas right now, but he's a while away from a decision, as is Mason Smith. We'll see how this impacts Mason Smith and Brian Thomas, because Sage Ryan's a big name in Louisiana. He was at Tiger Turnout. He's been at a ton of home games, as has Mason Smith. And Mason Smith was a part of the organizing crew for Tiger Turnout. So it's a weird week in the state of Louisiana for LSU, but I don't think it's time to sound the alarms and blow the thing up because Sage Ryan is trending elsewhere and looks like he's going to end up elsewhere.
No, Sage Ryan is one player, but if it's Ryan and Thomas and Smith, if you get down the road and you understand where the trepidation comes from LSU, it's those years where you say, well, you're not going to come up with snake eyes in Louisiana. No, not ever. It's the years where you go, well, they got everybody but 1 or 2 or 3 guys, but those are the 1 or 2 or 3 guys that are the most important 1 or 2 or 3 guys. That's where the nervousness, I think, comes in, and everybody's gun shy in this 2020 environment anyway. So you understand where the nervousness comes from, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, if they were to come up snake eyes, I mean, it's a situation where I don't think you make a complete staff overhaul or anything like that, or fire Ed Ogeron, but you've got to really look in the mirror and say, okay, where's this thing headed? Because it, like before 2019, the gap was pretty it was there between LSU and Alabama, and Joe Burrow covered up a lot of it. A lot of the players they had on the roster covered up a lot of that gap in 2019, obviously. But now as you look ahead, and we're 3 weeks away from LSU Alabama, that game will be very interesting. And I think one thing to note too is I don't think it's lost on Nick Saban what was said after last year's game either. And LSU better be ready to play when Alabama comes to town, or they're going to pour it on like I think really Nick Saban wants to.
I'm certain that it did, and this is still a top 5 class. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't want to that the sky is falling or anything like that. All right, let me ask you about Apu-Ika. What's your read on him putting himself in the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think that's now as with the 4-3, it's a little bit tougher of a fit. I think that's my first impression. I'm just a little, I guess, surprised that just 2 years in, and his role has gone from, being somebody that was so talked up. And I think he certainly has to get himself in a little bit better shape. I think this is not just him feeling like he's being pushed out or anything like that. He's got some things that he's got to do to be better just for his own future. But, as a 365-pound nose tackle, that's not necessarily a fit with what LSU wants to do with this attacking 4-3 defense. But they're going to miss him in run support. I think that's the first thing that jumps out to me. I think he probably should have had a little bit bigger of a role this year, at least in the rotation. But maybe this opens the door for guys like Jacqueline Roy, and if Jacoby and Giller gets healthy, and some of these other guys step in, because, I think that's where the future is on the defensive line. I'm not so sure it was Apu-Ika, and maybe that was a conversation that he and the staff had, and so he opted to go ahead and enter the transfer portal now, which is a little surprising considering LSU probably needs a little bit of help in run defense against Tank Bixby and Auburn this weekend.
Billy, before we let you go, I definitely want to mention an offer that LSU's put out there to Jack Besh, a receiver from St. Thomas More. He's committed to Vanderbilt, 6'2", 215 pounds. And if you have watched high school football in South Louisiana over the last couple of years, you know how dominant Jack Besh truly is. Obviously, he's had some uncles that have played at LSU. It's a lineage deal there. I know he's committed to Vanderbilt. I know he's only a 3-star, and people only want the 5 stars. But I can tell you, just being a guy who maybe got an offer that typically wouldn't, being a 2-star guy myself, I'm glad to see LSU took the time, watched the tape, and offered this guy, Jack Besh, because he might only have 3 stars next to his name, but I haven't seen a better player in the state of Louisiana on the field this year.
He's been dominant, and it certainly helps that he's teammates and best friends with Walker Howard, LSU's 2022 commit. But yeah, Jack has been outstanding, and he's kind of been building towards this. I went and saw him this summer shortly before Walker committed, and you can tell he put in a lot of work in the weight room. He didn't spend quarantine, just doing push-ups or going on runs. He was in a weight room and going to work, and you're seeing that, and you're seeing it in the rest of his offers too. I mean, Mississippi State, Texas, TCU. He's somebody that's got that versatility that I think works out well in today's kind of modern offense and what LSU wants to do as well. I'm interested to see where he would ultimately end up. I think a tight end spot is a good spot for him while being able to be flexed out. He's been dominant, and I think LSU is certainly the school to watch the most for him at this point. But I don't think he's done adding offers either. I'm interested to see how he takes this recruitment, but I do have pretty positive vibes that he can end up at LSU. And like you said, I mean, the production, his size, he's starting to really show out with the offers on that front as well. So he's a stock up guy, and he's a really good offer. I mean, just like Matthew Langlois, I think both of those guys, offering those guys and getting one on board already was really smart.
Hey, real quick, follow up. Where do you see Jack playing at the collegiate level? Because we mentioned he's 215 pounds. I mean, this could be a guy that you could use, I think, in multiple situations.
Yeah, I'm not ready to, compare him to Eric Gilbert. He's a generational athlete and talent at the tight end position. But that versatility in terms of being able to move him around, create some matchup issues, I think, with linebackers. That's where I see him kind of an off-the-line tight end. He's a willing blocker. He's an able blocker as well in the run game from what I've seen on his tape, and he wants to do it, and I think that's part of it. But I do see him more of the hybrid tight end position, and I think if you had him and somebody like Eric Gilbert on the field at the same time, it'd be fun to watch.
Billy Embody, go 247. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk with you again real soon.
Sounds good. Brighter days ahead, guys.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it, Billy. We'll take a break. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm, fuzzy feeling, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Also brought to you by Garcia Roofing. Check out Garcia Roofing at GarciaDidMyRoof.com. You can check out right there on the homepage the free roof inspection. Click on that, fill out the information, and I can promise you this is something that you want to take full advantage of because they saved me a lot of money, a lot of hassle by just coming out free to me, checking out what I had going on with my roof. They gave me an itemized list of exactly what I needed. They gave me pictures of what I was going to need as well, so that way I could trust what they were saying. And you can trust it because they're going to give you the Garcia guarantee, Hanny.
Unfortunately for our friends down in southeast Louisiana, Zeta is coming. And for our friends in New Orleans and on the North Shore, know that Garcia does service those areas as well. So if after Zeta has come through here, you feel like you've had damage, or if you know you have damage, GarciaDidMyRoof.com is where you need to go. And, of course, still in Baton Rouge and Lafayette, your trusted home improvement experts, roof now and pay later. You can call 225-756-3100, or, again, online, it's GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
When you want the best of Louisiana, you don't go to a superstore. We know what we like, and we like it local. Same goes for banking. As one of Louisiana's largest local banks, we offer homegrown services crafted around you. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
From the makers of Blue Moon comes Light Sky. An extraordinary citrus sweet brewed with real tangerine peel, only 95 calories. Welcome to the light side of the moon.
I can't tell you how many people tried to discourage me when I said, I'm opening up a haunted house. If you love doing something, don't let anything or anyone stand in your way.
How he comes up with this stuff in his head and designs it is mind-boggling.
Debbie and Home Bank understand my business and understand that it's not normal. They've worked with me since the beginning to help my business grow.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front-to-Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA-certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front-to-Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell, and Ed Ogeron will update Myles Brennan's status. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. You need a hug?
No, I don't. I'm good. I'm good. Now,
You look like
others,
you need a hug.
No, others might need a hug. I want to get as many high prospects as LSU can possibly get.
Sure.
I absolutely do. But I am encouraged in the fact that they gave a scholarship offer to a Jack Besh. Because there's been a lot of years where there's been a highly talented guy like that from the state of Louisiana that maybe wouldn't have gotten an offer, right? And I'm glad to see that Coach O and the recruiting service staff, I should say, is offering a guy like that. Sage Ryan, you wanted him to come to LSU, and I'm surprised. And, you know, Trev Falk and Nick Saban's relationship, that's one that we could sit here and talk about the way that ended, right? And that's his uncle. Kevin Falk being on the staff, that's his cousin.
Well, okay, we're let's not talk in code here. That was 20 years ago. Let's not assume that everybody that's listening to us knows. Trev Falk and Nick Saban didn't exactly break bread together.
No, they didn't. Trev decided to go to the NFL early because, that relationship wasn't great. There's it's not a secret, but you're right. There might be people listening that don't know that.
It's been 20 years now, so I mean,
hey,
we
stop
need
telling
to...
me how old I am, okay? I know. Gosh,
anything I say, I'm
right.
Quite a bit older than you. So, given that, but a lot of time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
What impact do you think that would have on a kid?
You would just think that conversation obviously would come up, and you can say, hey, this is where I played football. This is where your cousin Kevin was an absolute legend, still is a legend. He's a running back coach now. So the ties there, I think, made that an easy, he's going to LSU. And even if he commits in October, was it Friday, Saturday, whatever, the 31st?
Saturday.
Okay, he's got the 31st. That's when he's committing. Even if he does to Alabama, you would hope that LSU says, man, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. Let's go ahead and let's try to grind this one out. Let's see if we can get him. Let's see if we can get to him before December, because there still is time.
What did you make of Billy's comment about creativity in recruiting? And save me all of the cheating jokes. I've heard them all.
I don't really know where. Yeah,
and I know that's not what Billy was saying, by the way.
No. I don't really know. I don't really know where he was. I don't really know where he was going with that one. I don't know what creativity and graphics and LSU's done above and beyond, in my opinion, in recruiting, and to make these guys feel like, hey, you're our guy. We know the power hour. We see. I don't think I've ever been in a room with an LSU assistant coach or Coach O where there wasn't at one point, hey, I got to take this. It's a recruit. I can remember I spoke at the Houston Touchdown Club and was the MC of the coaches caravan there. We were on LSU's plane coming back, and it was whichever coaches were there. I forget now. 6 of them, right, and me and Michael Bonnet, and we're trying to take off, and there's a big recruit on the phone, and they're passing it around the plane. It never stops, and so I know it's not that. It's not the desire. So I don't really know creativity. I don't know what kids want to see today. Do they want to see the cheesy Dabo Sweeney TikTok? I don't know. If they do, God bless.
I guess I was asking it more in terms of COVID than in terms of staff working and stuff like that, because the normal things that you can do, bring them to a camp, bring them on campus, be in the homes, you can't do any of that right now. So I guess that was my question, is how do you get creative when all of your biggest tools are taken away from you, and they're taken away from everybody?
Obviously, yeah. There's something you could probably correlate that. Coach O's so good in person. He's so dynamic. He's such a big personality when he walks into the room, right? Everybody's like, man, I'm going to go talk to that guy, fun-loving guy. And during this, you've had to be creative. You've had to find different ways. I don't know those ways. I'm not being recruited anymore, but it feels like that's what Billy was alluding to. Maybe during this COVID year, other staffs have done things a little bit differently. Again, I'm not going to sit here and just doomsday a top 5 class that still has Mason Smith and Corey Foreman on the board as potential guys that could come to LSU. When you look at it, again, I'm going to keep talking up Jack Besh, and not because his uncle Blaine Besh is about 13 feet away from me, Okay, he's a hell of a football player.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best that I've seen in the state of Louisiana with my own eyes. I mean, he just went out there and dominated a Catholic high team that, was before COVID going to be one of the best teams in the country. Still a pretty damn good football team. He torched them, okay? There's still a lot to like about where LSU is. There's still a lot on the board. You never want to lose an in-state 5-star. I absolutely get that. But even if you do lose Sage Ryan, then you've got to get Mason Smith. You've got to get Brian Thomas. And so there's still hope, but you don't want to miss twice.
I understand not going overboard for one player. Okay, an in-state player, even as good as he is, I understand that. But this is a guy that you're supposed to get. I mean, it really. If there's somebody with ties to the staff that is in your geographic footprint, you're supposed to get that guy. I remember when Jamar Chase was being recruited, and forget about the early commitment to, I think it was Kansas or whatever. It was Florida. Okay, it was Florida and LSU.
TCU.
Well, TCU, okay,
Yeah.
which never really counted. It was Florida, okay? He was never going to TCU. It was Florida, and he was going to go to Florida, and they had just put Mickey Joseph on staff. And it's like, okay, they brought Mickey Joseph on staff because he was a New Orleans Catholic League legend, okay?
Yeah.
And he was coaching the wide receivers, and because he had relationships with everybody in that area. I mean, the Joseph's name goes a long way down there. I mean, there's a long line of multiple guys that have played and coached all the time. Okay, hang on. This is a guy that is playing your position, that the position that you're coaching. He's from your hometown. He's in your area. You got to get this guy. And Joseph and Ogeron and the group, they went down there and they turned him. And, well, that was a big deal because I would have hated to play that LSU-Florida game last October if Jamar Chase would have been on the other side.
Right.
Okay. So this is a lot of the same thing. Okay. Kevin Falk's on staff to get guys like Sage Ryan, and that's his area. It's not his position, but that's the Falk name.
Doesn't matter.
The Falk name in Lafayette, I mean, is
in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Lafayette.
That's the holy grail. Okay. That's why this is a little bit more alarming than it would normally be for just one player. This is a guy that you expected to get. I mean, we agree on that, right?
Yeah, no.
And they got
question.
They got a lot of time. Last year, whatever year it was that Chase was being recruited, it looked like he was gone. It looked like he was going to Florida. And they went in and they put the full court press on and said, no, if Mickey Joseph is in New Orleans, that's Mickey Joseph territory, okay? That's Joseph family territory. And this kid we need is going to one of our rivals. We're going to go and we're going to turn this thing around. And it looked bad. I sat on the other show when I was on with Jen. I said, man, look, they ain't getting Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
That ship sailed. And sure enough, they went in there, they redoubled efforts, they turned him around because they just couldn't lose him. That's kind of how I feel about this. It's like, look, your rival came in your backyard and got a guy that flat out you're supposed to get. So you got, 6 weeks to signing day. You got to go turn him around.
I agree with everything you said because you do have time. You've got 6 weeks. You've got to tell him what it means to be from the state of Louisiana, play for LSU, and if you ever want to come back to the state of Louisiana, LSU's the place because it's no disrespect to any other school in this state. There's some good football programs with UL Lafayette, with Louisiana Tech, Tulane. That's great. There's one big horse, and it's LSU. Alabama, you share it with Auburn. You do. Florida, you got 3 schools. Right? Mississippi, you got multiple schools. Texas, you got multiple schools. Arkansas, and it's Arkansas. LSU is the top dog. Okay. You've got to go sell all of that. You got to say, hey, you want to come back to Louisiana and be championed? That's where you come. We were talking, during the break. Eddie Lacy walks in anywhere in Baton Rouge. Eddie Lacy is a hell of a football player. Was for a long time. Okay.
Well, you could sell all of that, but those are the things down the road. You got to sell him on where you're going to be next.
No, I disagree with you.
Okay. Well, you were recruited and I wasn't. So
I disagree with you.
You got the next year. I mean, hey, you come in here start next year.
Yeah, well, that's day one stuff. That's day one stuff.
Doesn't that mean something to the 17-year-old, though?
It does. No, it does. But that foundation should already be laid.
Okay.
That foundation should already be laid. If more than I've ever seen anywhere else in the country, and I've played with guys that played of every school that you can think of, if you play at LSU and you're from the state of Louisiana and you're a good player, these people will take care of you for the rest of your life. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about just everything. I can promise you they have taken care of me. I appreciate the people of Louisiana. And me going to LSU was the best thing that I ever did. Yeah, the national championship obviously helps, but just the relationships that I've built. And I can just promise you, more than any place I've been, you're from Louisiana, you go to LSU, that place for the rest of your life.
We'll see what plays out. Ryan going to make his commitment on Saturday, and then, like I said, you got about 6 weeks after that. We'll take a break. We're brought to you by Richard Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, speaking of Richard Honda, the title sponsor every day here with Hanging with Hester and Hanny. You can find them online at richardshonda.com, where you can do it all in the bottom left corner of the website. It tells you how long you have to left to save in their current offers, which include the trade-in and trade-up event going on right now over at Richard Honda. You can always find the Warm Fuzzy Promise on the homepage. You can also chat with sales in the bottom right corner of the website. You can find them physically at 13413 Millerville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. That's I-12 and Millerville. We give you that every day because they have over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles priced to move, and no matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered. They're going to fit your lifestyle. Hybrids, cars, midsize and full-size SUVs, truck, van, you name it, they've got it over there, and they've got a great deal. Don't forget, you can also buy from home on richardshonda.com. 7-step process, incredibly easy to get that car delivered to you. That's Richard Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Tune into a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time. We're live from Snow's Seafood and Steak over in Gonzales from 6 to 8 p.m. Come see us and say hello or listen here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, we're brought to you in part by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, with 4 locations helping you deal with pain from auto accidents, sports injuries, or sometimes just little nagging things that as you get a little bit older, things start to hurt a little bit more, whether it's a disc or a muscle or a ligament strain, neck or back discomfort. Let them help you through a series of therapeutic exercises or stretches, or maybe you need some dry needling, electric nerve stimulation, ultrasound, or cryotherapy. They can help you out. They'll make you feel better. 4 locations, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, 13406 Airline, 2832 Plank Road, 467 Oak Plaza Boulevard in Bruley, and on Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, with easy access from both I-10 and I-12. You find a game that you like this weekend in the Southeastern Conference, besides LSU and Auburn, because you got nothing but games that look like, at least on paper, that they should be blowouts, at least according to our friends out in the desert. Every game other than LSU and Auburn has at least a 12.5 point spread.
I've already got my double-digit outright winner, and I hit on that last week with Rutgers over Michigan State.
But the only thing you hit.
Did you hit yours?
No, I hit 5 out of the other 6.
We ain't talking about that right now.
You know what? You invented a
double-digit
category
underdog
in the middle of the segment, and then you forced me to pick.
Well, I went off the top of my head, and I picked it.
Very patriotically took Navy, and they hung around for a while.
Well, that's on you, Ricky Bobby.
You got one, and
I can tell you that I've already got mine for this week.
Yeah,
it's Arkansas and Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas 12.5, depending on where you're looking, underdog in this game. And it's long been known what I think about Texas A&M, and they have exceeded my expectations so far this year. I will give them that. But if you go back and you watch that game against Mississippi State, a couple things come to mind. How in the world did LSU lose to that team? The second part is...
That's been on a lot of people's mind, yeah.
It was clunky as hell for Texas A&M. They want to run the football, and they've got the backs to do it. Arkansas has the linebackers and safeties to stop the run. They've got guys, as we've mentioned really the last couple of weeks, they're really good at getting guys on the ground, right? They have great technique in their tackling. Bumper pull, Grant Morgan, those guys do a great job. The question in that game is, can Arkansas do enough offensively? I mean, they're really struggling offensively, and I guess we're not really surprised Felipe Franks is the quarterback. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't put them in bad situations, but they're not asking him to do a lot either. I mean, you're talking about, around 225 yards a game total offense. And so can you do enough there? Because I truly think Arkansas's defense can slow down Texas A&M. We saw Vanderbilt slow this Texas A&M offense down. Mississippi State, for a good portion of the game, slowed them down. The one team that couldn't was a team that has defensive woes all over the place in the Florida Gators, right? So I like Arkansas to not only be in this game late into the fourth quarter, I think I'll go as far as say they'll win it outright.
This has been a crazy series since A&M got in the league. It's most of the games have been up in Dallas. This time it's returning to campus in College Station. So I tend to agree. Arkansas's also had 2 weeks to prepare for this since that game against Ole Miss. So there's something to be said for that. That was the one I think that most people will gravitate towards, and I can't argue with you. I do wonder about Missouri. If you want to talk about something that's gotten a little bit less ink, if you will, than the Arkansas A&M rivalry, but Missouri and Florida, for two teams that Florida's considered a heavyweight and Missouri isn't, they've played some interesting games. And Connor Bazelak came off of the game against LSU and had another solid performance against Kentucky. Nothing spectacular, but he completed most of his passes, 200 yards, protected the football, and controlled the football. Missouri had the football for the whole game against Kentucky. And any team that you would want to keep the ball away from more than the Florida Gators? I mean, is there any team in the league that has such an explosive offense and such a weak defense that you would say, man, just don't give those cats the ball?
Right.
I will probably lean towards, since you've invented this category and forced me to take a double-digit dog, and you've already snatched up Arkansas, I'm leaning towards Mizzou a little bit just to keep it within shouting distance in Gainesville.
No, I think that is a very fair play because, I mean, Florida, just like LSU, they've had struggles on the defense side of the football, communicating, having guys in the right spots. And you know that they've got better Jimmys and Joes than Mizzou, but if you're not in the right spot, it doesn't matter. And we also know that Eli Drinkwitz is going to give you a lot of window dressing. He's going to have motion shifts, whatever he can, to try to create an advantage. And Florida hadn't played on game day when the ball's kicked. It'll be 21 days since Florida played their last game.
So is that good or bad? We've been wrestling with that question with a lot of teams all years.
I think 8 days off, 3-4 extra days is good when you have the problems that LSU had. They wanted to change some things. 21 days? That's a long time.
And what's different about this, Jacob, is that they're not off because of problems with other teams. Like when Baylor missed all of those games, some of them were for problems with the other teams. When Houston lost all of those games, and when I say lost all those games, I meant didn't play all of those games, it was because of problems in a lot of those times for other teams. Florida had to shut their facility down for a week.
Right.
And if we know anything about this, like, when you shut guys down for a week, you just take them, when you send them out of that building, when you send them out of the cocoon, you sort of say a prayer on the way out the door that they will do all the right things. And I'm sorry, but you miss an entire week of practice. I think that matters for something. Florida may be good enough anyway to blow the doors off. I mean, because Trask can go out there and throw for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the game is up 38-10, and you go, boy, I feel stupid.
Miles kind of did that, and LSU lost.
Well, okay, that's true. But I don't know that Missouri has necessarily the offensive. Well, I don't know. They put up 45 against LSU. Yeah, they could. That'll probably be my pick.
I expect a shootout. Just
and if
like
you expect a shootout, then
weekend.
you take 13 points, right? I take 13 points.
Yeah.
Let me call Jimmy, see what he thinks.
No.
I'll ask him on pregame. He's sitting in with me for pregame this week. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage can help you out financially. I know, because I'm one of their customers. And if you're not sure what your financial situation is right now in regards to your rent, in regards to your mortgage, in regards to your rate, then you owe it to yourself to go to gmfsmortgage.com and find out, because the rates right now are at historic lows. And whether it's a refinance, getting into a new home, buying your first home, or adding on to your current home, it can help you out in any of those scenarios. It's a very simple initial consultation. Doesn't take that long. They'll ask a few questions of you. You set out your goals. Tell them what you want to accomplish, and from there all the way to the closing, they'll work with you step by step. I think you're going to be really pleased at how quick that process goes as well. Do what I did. Do what thousands of others have done. Set yourself up financially better in the short term and the long term. GMFSmortgage.com.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, man, what do you want to watch? Football or football?
Let's go with football.
Football it is.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a 2020 Highlander for $4,500 off MSRP. That's right, $4,500 off MSRP. Hurry in, they won't last long. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
I'm feeling good. So good. I just thought you should know.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexandria.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, Chef Michael Johnson answers your munchie questions. Chad Durbin recaps World Series. And Big Cat joins us to send Ben Mintz off to the Big Apple. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hey, you know, I wanted to point something out just because it's not, I think sometimes we live in a bubble here, and that's one of the buzzwords for 2020 anyway. You live in a bubble. The decommitments only happen to you. The transfers only happen to you. The bad things only happen to you. You know, Jeremiah Alexander was a commitment, the number one player in Alabama, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, this is 2022, so bear with me here a little bit. He's number 8 prospect in the country and the number 1 prospect in the state of Alabama. Been committed to Alabama since March. Decommitted from him yesterday. I mean, they're not godlike, okay? They do have bad things happen to them too, right? I mean, I think we get caught up in sometimes, you know, just nothing but the bad things only happen in recruiting to you. Everybody has decommitments. Everybody loses. That's a guy in their state. You think Alabama's going to lose, one of the guys in state that they want? I was trying to make you feel better. I didn't do a very good job. I thought I was going to really. I thought I was going to.
No, I don't know where you think I don't know where you think I'm feeling bad, because I am not a star watcher. I know that there's people that are star watchers, right? Mm-hmm. I've had me and Scone got into a big debate. We used to do handoff about star watching, and I understand you got to get more than you don't. I completely understand that. I know there's a reason, and people that like Billy and Shay do a really good job of figuring out how good these guys are. But I also think there is a plan and there's a path to recruiting. And this takes Sage Ryan out of this. I'm not even talking about him. I'm just talking about in general. LSU has had a lot of success with getting guys at the very end that not a lot of fans know who they are. We could go down the list. You know the list. In fact, the list goes back like 10, 15 years. And there's a guy every year that has been that big-time guy. And so I'm not into star watching as much as I'm into development once they get on campus. If there's a skill that you see, developing them once they come on campus. So no, I'm fine. I am A-okay.
No, I get that. Forget about the stars for a second. If a guy that you want, that you have, I don't care what any of the services have him rated. If he's a guy that you want, that you're recruiting, that your rival comes in and gets instead of you, that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not a good thing.
Doesn't mean he can't be replaced. Doesn't mean that he can't be. I'll give you. This is the example we use a lot. Okay, LSU very badly wanted Hootie Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Hootie Jones was an in-state guy. I think he was a 5-star guy. If he wasn't, he was a very high 4-star guy, and he was part of that class that the famous 2 for 5.
Yeah,
2 for 5. Except the one of the two that they got for him was Jamal Adams. All right. Jamal Adams Jamal Adams was the guy that essentially they got because they didn't get Hootie Jones. Jamal Adams, I think it is safe to say, had a better college career than Hootie Jones, and he's certainly having a better pro career than Hootie Jones. But I did the show that day, and the immediate thought was that they lost a guy that they wanted to get. And who else did you lose that day? You lost Speedy Noel. Speedy Noel did a few things over at Texas A&M, but ultimately he was more trouble than he was worth.
Yeah.
And then they lost the doggone defensive lineman from New Orleans. Why am I blanking on his name?
I don't know. Hootie Jones doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
No, of course he doesn't. The kid that went to Florida and then Miami was really good. Why am I blanking on his name? He was from New Orleans. Come on. He was so good. He was in nothing but he's in
got
trouble.
into the fight pregame.
He's in trouble his entire life, but he could play when he played. Anyway, he was a guy that they very badly wanted. And when he played, but how much was he on the field? And he really didn't even Gerald Willis, thank you. Couldn't every now and then my brain just goes blank. Gerald Willis, when he played, was a really good player, except he was in trouble the entire time. So I get that down the road this may look, just fine, but I understand also the uneasiness when you lose a guy that you want, not because he was a 5-star, it was because a guy that the staff evaluated and the staff wanted. That's why whenever they identify something, player or coach, that they want, and something happens where they don't get them, you always don't feel as good as you should. Sometimes it ends up working out. I'll give you another example. When John Chavis wouldn't sign his contract because he wouldn't agree to the Les Miles clause, it was looked at as a bad thing because it was a coach that they wanted to keep, and somebody in your division outbid you for him. As it turned out, Chief was at the end of his career. We didn't maybe know it at the time, but he was declining. He was declining here, and his career continued to decline when he left. He wasn't the same coach that he had been 5 years before. But at the time, it was your athletic director won't pay for the coach that your head coach wants to put on staff, and he's going to one of your rivals. That ended up working out okay for LSU. They got better defensive coaches when he left. But you didn't know that at the time. Sage Ryan may not be a good player. He may be a bust. There's 5-star busts every single year. Maybe he'll be the next Landon Collins. Maybe he'll be the next Hootie Jones. Okay? I don't know. Nobody knows. But he's a guy that you wanted that you're not going to get. So I understand why today. May work out just fine. They may go find somebody better than him. They may go find somebody that works out better than him. And if you think, Hanagriff, that's crazy. Trust me, I did the show. We had a message board. We had Twitter. We had all those things. I didn't get a single person on that 2 for 5 day that called me and said, you know what, it's okay. They got Jamal Adams. Not a single one. So you understand where I'm coming from? It may work out that way, but that's not the way that it plays the day that it happens. And no, nothing happened today. The thing's coming down on Saturday, and the services are predicting that Ryan is going to commit to Alabama. But you got a long way between now and signing day.
We do. Absolutely. No doubt about it, Hanny. And one of our guys inside the Bayou Ford chat, William, says that Hester can't talk about this. He's still part of the LSU program, conflict of interest. That's completely false, because I don't know what you've been listening to the last couple of weeks, but when there's problems, I'm going to point them out. And this has been my take for 10 years. And obviously some of it's personal because of where I was ranked in recruiting. I mean, I was a 2-star guy. Y'all know that. 795th in the country, 17th fullback. I remember the stats because it was something that motivated me. Okay, 24th in the state, 24th player in the state. Okay, this has been my take for a long time, and so this isn't new. I mean, this is something that I truly feel that is not a panic moment.
No, it's not a panic moment. It's just not it's not something that you would want to happen. If they had their druthers, okay, if they got to pick, then they would take this kid. Maybe he'll end up being there. So if you don't get him, you got to go replace him. You got to go figure out who it is that you can put on the team that will be the guy that can take that place. Okay. They did a very good job of that. When it didn't look like they were going to get Hootie Jones, they went out and got Jamal Adams. That worked out better. When they didn't get Lyle Collins, they went and got a kid named Corey Thompson out of Texas, who was awfully athletic, and spent, I think, 6 years here.
He did.
And just never could get healthy. Never could stay healthy. He was a good player when he played, but he wasn't anywhere in the stratosphere of Lyle Collins, and he couldn't stay healthy. Is this, the guy that if they have to replace him, who do you replace him with? Is it going to be the next Jamal Adams? Is it going to be the next Corey Thompson? I don't know. Take a break. Come back on the other side. Hour number 3, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester.
When morning came to Louisiana, we were hopeful, not hibernating. We were mending fences, feeding neighbors, and holding our kids. When morning came to Louisiana, we were wide awake, planting seeds for next year's crops. We were stronger, ready for what's next. And together, as we build anew, Blue Cross stands ready to support you.
T-Bob Abear here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one, but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting the 76ers are finalizing a deal to hire former Rockets GM Daryl Morey as their new president of basketball operations. Elton Brand expected to remain GM. New coach Doc Rivers, a proponent of the Morey hiring. Wisconsin football has paused all team-related activities at least 7 days due to an elevated number of COVID-19 cases. Saturday's game against Nebraska canceled, won't be rescheduled. A cancellation so early into the season, a little alarming for the conference, believes ESPN's Heather Dinich.
We're talking about spikes right now in every state in the Big Ten. Basically, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. I'm not a doctor, but there's no way I can sit here and tell you that there's a positive outlook on this.
Heather Dinich on Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Texans closed their facility after a player tested positive for the coronavirus. Houston's on a bye this week, has begun contact tracing. Texans played the Packers this past Sunday. Bengals have traded disgruntled pass rusher Carlos Dunlap to the Seahawks for offensive lineman B.J. Finney and a 7th-round draft pick.
Download the DraftKings app and use code MAX to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And welcome you in hour number 3, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Josh Ward, our audio producer, Paul O'Neill, our video producer, whether you're watching us on CST or on YouTube, if you are listening up in Shreveport on 1130 The Tiger, welcome in. Cole Kublik here in about 12 minutes from right now. We'll talk with him about LSU and Auburn and the rest of the league's slate this week. A lot of games that the guys out in the desert think will not be much of a game. I can tell you one won't be much of a game, Nebraska and Wisconsin. That game has been canceled. They were going to run with a 4th-string quarterback, Wisconsin was. You ever think about that? I mean, how many teams aren't even carrying 4 quarterbacks or 4 quarterbacks that aren't
on scholarship?
The walk-ons or whatever. I mean, how many times did LSU, was it 2 years ago? Last year. They had 2 quarterbacks, and that was pretty much it. Of course, there was no COVID at that time. The Big Ten knew that this was going to be a possibility, that they were going to lose some games. They didn't have any margin for error. So one of their teams now that is definitely in contention, and Wisconsin is going to play less than the full amount of games. You know what my response to this is? Okay. Honestly, the panic. I'm way past. Okay, they're gonna play 7. They might play 6. Okay, we'll deal with that at the end of the year. Okay, the teams that are healthy are playing. The teams that are not healthy are not playing. Scroll on your scoreboards. Yeah, your digital scoreboard, whatever it is. Scroll to the bottom. Every single week there's been a game or 2 or 3 or 4 postponed. These are now going to be canceled outright. Why? Because the Big Ten didn't start on time.
I do think this one is going to be impactful because we talked about it last week when Bo Bishop came on, who does a great job up in Columbus, Ohio, we mentioned Wisconsin had a really favorable schedule because they missed Ohio State, they missed Penn State, but they were going to need all of their victories to probably potentially get into that playoff discussion. Now, you're going to have a championship game. In all likelihood, that you have a chance to go out there and prove yourself, but this could affect them because what does their resume look like? Because their toughest game is going to be at Michigan, and Michigan in big games, I'll take the other team.
They looked good the other night. Was that a big game? Was on the road against a ranked team. Game day was there. They won that. They were impressive.
They looked better.
I don't know that Wisconsin will get left out because of one game. They might.
I don't think, but I think they needed, much like every Big Ten team needed, a full slate because they wanted to have the best argument possible in case there was other teams within other conferences that had played 2, possibly 3 more games.
Honestly, I think this boils down to one big thing. Let me steal that from Scott Van Pelt. One big thing. The Big Ten has one big nightmare, and it's not Wisconsin getting a game canceled. It's not Michigan getting a game canceled. Their big fear is that Ohio State will lose a game. And they've got maybe, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 3 chances to lose a game. One of them's this weekend at Penn State. I don't think they'll lose any of the 3. But that's their big nightmare, is that if Ohio State runs the table, they expect them to be in the playoff, regardless of who they play in the championship game. They don't even need to play 8 games. They really don't. If Ohio State and Rutgers gets canceled, and I know Rutgers won last week, but who cares? If Ohio State and Illinois gets canceled, if Ohio State and Michigan State gets canceled, who cares? Even if Ohio State and Michigan, okay, they need Ohio State to run the table. If Penn State beat Ohio State this week, that would be the Big Ten's worst nightmare. That 2 weeks in, their 2 biggest horses got beat, and their 3rd horse had to lose a game to COVID. That would be disastrous. It would be fitting, but it would be disastrous because then your torchbearer would be Michigan, and I don't think that's exactly where they want to be right now.
I agree with you, and that's why it was so risky for them to do what they did. Right? No built-in oops. There's not, because you waited so late. There's no built-in oops. And do I think Penn State's going to beat Ohio State? No, I just saw them lose to Indiana. But to your point, if they do, that is almost catastrophic for the Big Ten because you're not getting in.
Not almost catastrophic. It is catastrophic. Yeah. That's the ticket
to
the SEC getting the second team.
The only reason I'm not speaking in absolutes is because Wisconsin could potentially, because of their schedule, they could find their way in this discussion.
I guess they could if they won all the games and won the Big Ten championship game impressively. I suppose they could get in with fewer games. But if you're, I don't want to say vindictive, but if you're a little bit just jaded towards the Big Ten, and so many people here are, root for Penn State. Root for Penn State. That is the nightmare scenario for the Big Ten, is that Indiana pulled the upset in week 1 and Ohio State lost in week 2.
Let me throw a random at you. Just a totally random question. What team do you least want to win the national championship outside of Alabama? That was too easy.
Yeah.
Outside of Alabama.
Who would I just not like to see win the national
championship? Who are you tired of seeing in that situation?
Clemson. Yeah. I mean, Clemson is tiresome because they have very little resistance in their league. If Florida State was the Florida State of old, if Miami were the Miami of old, then if Virginia Tech were the Virginia Tech of
even when I was in school,
the top of the Beamer teams. If Louisville was the year that they were
Hanny,
there,
just say it. If any team in the ACC was worth a damn outside of Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was trying to come up with a more creative way to say it, but yes, if they had
I'll redneck it. If you let me, I'll do it.
If there was some type of every program that has a chance to compete with them is down. Now, this was reversed for a long time. How many years did we accuse them of Clemsoning?
Yeah.
Because Florida State owned that league forever. And then when Miami got in the league, it was like, well, now there's going to be some competition. And they really haven't been. Since they joined the ACC, they haven't been back to that level that they were when they were a national contender. Maybe they will be again. We've gone back and forth on that program. But Clemson is tiresome because we feel like they play 2 games a year, and they're both in the postseason. We feel the same way about Oklahoma, except that Oklahoma, I think, here is disrespected a little bit more because of what LSU did to them, just completely humiliated them in that game last year. The year before that, they took Georgia to overtime. I mean, they're right there to be in the national championship game. Now, yeah, their defense was still lousy. Yeah, Alabama almost certainly would have beaten them. And I can understand where you would be aggravated that Oklahoma is given a pass every year in the Big 12, the same way Clemson is in the ACC. But the truth of the matter is 2 years ago, Oklahoma was right there knocking on the door of the national championship game. They would be third for me. Teams I don't want to see in the national championship. I don't want to see Alabama there. I don't want to see Clemson there. I don't want to see Oklahoma there. If I went to 4, it would probably be Ohio State. I've seen those teams in the playoffs enough.
The Clemson is the obvious answer, I think, for a lot of people here because, like you just laid out, the path to a championship. And I think that when you see them get into the postseason, those games can become challenging for them because it's sometimes it's their first real test. Now, they've handled that in certain years, but I think last year, once they played a team like LSU with all that talent, man, they're used to being able to come from behind if things don't go their way. They're used to being able to dictate the pace of a game. They weren't able to do that. Even the Ohio State game, you go back and watch that tape, there's key moments that Ohio State very easily could have won that football game, including, a call that was a catch that wasn't a catch. That was
right. But I think my answer probably mirrors everybody else's answer. The 4 teams I least want to see make the national championship are the only 4 teams that have made the playoffs more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama and Clemson have made it 5 times. Of course I don't want to see them again. You have any idea the big-time blue blood programs that haven't even made the playoffs? The Florida Gators have not been to the playoffs. Auburn has not been to the playoffs. Texas has not been to the playoff. I mean, we're talking about USC has not been to the playoff. They're Nebraska. Well, Nebraska's not blue blood anymore, but they're not. I'm sorry.
Penn
State,
it's been a long time since the mid-drifts.
Penn State has not been to the playoff. I mean, not even once.
Right.
We're talking about big-time, big-money programs that haven't been there. And look, some of the other ones, like LSU and Georgia and Oregon and Notre Dame that spend plenty of money, have been once apiece. Yeah, I'd like to see somebody outside of those top 4 for sure. In that order, okay? Teams I don't want to see in the national championship game. Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Oklahoma 3, Ohio State 4. Ohio State 3, Oklahoma 4.
3 of those 4 have a really good opportunity of making it this year.
If Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State aren't in the playoffs, I'll be surprised. Who's going to be the 4th team? If if Ohio State gets beat by Penn State, then you got a chance to get a second SEC team in there. You're not going to put a Pac-12 team in, are you? Only playing 7 games.
Depends if it's Oregon and the dominant.
If they play the 7.
Hey, don't forget about the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Still undefeated. The only Big 12 school without a loss.
When we come back, Cole Kublik will join us. We'll talk LSU, Auburn, and SEC football with him. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and behind the wheel of your dream car. And take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At GMFS Mortgage, thanks to you, we've been changing lives for over 21 years. So far this year, that includes providing thousands of meals for the homeless, donating and helping raise $125,000 for the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, feeding hundreds of police officers during the stay-at-home order, and feeding local nursing homes. So if you're ready to buy, build, renovate, or refinance, choose a local lender that's changing lives in our community. Choose GMFS Mortgage today.
GMFS, changing lives.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. Buy a new one for less than a used one. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty, and with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell, and Ed Ogeron will update Myles Brennan's status. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Joining us now is Cole Kublik of the SEC Network as LSU gets ready for Auburn this Saturday. Cole, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. So when you look at Auburn, the word that comes up so often in the analysis of their games is that they have been lucky, that they have been fortuitous in the calls that they've gotten against Ole Miss, against Kentucky, and against Arkansas. When you look at Auburn, what do you see?
I see a team that's kind of searching, trying to find itself. Still doesn't know exactly who they are. A team that probably is looking for leadership. They're one of the youngest football teams in the league when you're talking about, especially the amount of seniors. Auburn has fewer senior starters than any team in the SEC. I think South Carolina is the only one that's even close. Depending on whether or not they have a formation that includes Eli Stove, that they do not have a senior starter on offense. And, you know, they only have a couple on defense, and a few of those have been banged up. KJ Britt's not out there right now. Big Cat Bryant's been in and out of the lineup. So I think leadership and finding some veterans are a big portion of what this team is and kind of what I see. I don't believe in luck in football. I obviously believe that there are certain plays that are more likely to happen than not happen. And obviously you can benefit from the ball bouncing your way or not, but there are going to be breaks in every game. Of all the things that have happened from an officiating standpoint, I don't think that any of them decided the game in Auburn's favor. I think there were still going to be opportunities to Auburn win or lose those games based on how those calls went. I mean, the Kentucky deal with the knee being down, that was in the first half. The situation with Ole Miss last week, Auburn was going to get possessions. And, Ole Miss went 3 and out on their next drive. So I think, yes, they've had some calls go their way that have been highlighted that people have talked about, but you got a big-time number 1 wide receiver in Seth Williams. You've got a legitimate all-SEC type tailback and a freshman in Tank Bigsby. I think you've got a really nice group of linebackers, even with KJ Britt out, with Jacoby McClain, Owen Popo. Pretty good group on the back end, especially at safety. Safety better than corner right now. But a group that just doesn't have a ton of guys that have had the lead. Last year you had a bunch of guys on that offensive line that had played a lot of football. Bunch of guys on that D-line that have played a lot of football. Bunch of guys in the secondary that have played a lot of football. Won a lot of games. So I think it's a team that's sort of trying to figure out who their leaders are and still maybe trying to figure out what kind of football team they're going to be.
Cole, doesn't everything have to start and finish with Tank Bigsby and Seth Williams? I mean, you just laid it out. I mean, you've got a guy who's going to play on Sundays at both positions. I know Tank Bigsby's only a true freshman, but in my opinion, that's one of the easier positions to translate from, transition, I should say, from high school to college, right? You can make that move. You can either run the football or you can't. And he has shown that it is not too big for him. Do you fully expect Auburn to come out with a game plan to feature Tank Bigsby, and when they're not featuring him, play action pass and throw it up to Seth Williams?
Problem is you lost your best offensive lineman, and Brandon Council is now out. That's a guy, Jacob, that lined up at right guard, left guard, right tackle, and basically at tight end in some of the heavy packages, the overload stuff, the unbalanced stuff that Auburn runs. So not only versatility, but the guy who is playing the best football. That's going to hurt. That doesn't help as far as going out there and being able to run the ball. I do think you found a legitimate weapon in J.J. Pegues, the 6'2", 300-pound freshman tight end. Yes, 300. That can run around and block. And
with a spin move.
Make some plays. He does have a spin move as well that hopefully doesn't try to break out too often, especially in short yardage situations. But they should be able to utilize the attention that Seth Williams and Anthony Schwartz are going to get in command and be able to create some space to find a way to get the run going without necessarily saying, hey, go get movement, and that's the only way that we're going to move the football or find yards. I thought Chad Morris did a really nice job last week of saying, okay, if Bo Nix wants to run around and he's going to scramble and move around with his legs no matter what, we might as well design some stuff for him. And I thought they did that. And I think that made him more comfortable, more confident. That obviously makes it more advantageous on your team to be able to find positive yards and move the ball, and gives you a better chance to be successful in other areas. So I think you keep utilizing the legs of Bo Nix. You keep obviously utilizing some of the east-west stuff with Schwartz, try to take your shots downfield to him, maybe even more. And then Seth Williams is going to probably command attention from two people a lot of the time. And that should be enough for Tank Bigsby to be able to open it up. So, but yeah, that's the plan. I would think is run the football, utilize your quarterback's legs and toughness, and when you get the one-on-ones to either one of those guys, Williams or Schwartz, take them, make defenses pay.
Cole Kublik is our guest. Coach Ogeron said this morning that Myles Brennan almost certainly will not play, so it'll be TJ Finley again. What were your overall impressions of the LSU offense and of Finley last week against South Carolina?
First thing that stuck out to me was decision-making. And you didn't really, other than the deal down on the goal line with the snaps and the whole thing, and I know that South Carolina's defensive line sort of played into that a little bit, but other than that, it was a really clean game. He seemed to be definitive with where he wanted to go with the football. A lot of times a younger quarterback that's just overflowing with talent doesn't have a good understanding of tempo and ball velocity. So if they're checking down to the back, they're still throwing at 80 miles an hour. Or if they have a 5-yard crosser, they're throwing it as hard as they can. Didn't see that from TJ Finley. He understands, when to take some off, how to utilize ball velocity on certain routes and certain throws. I just didn't feel like he tried to do too much, which is exactly what you want. And you needed a run game to be able to do that, and LSU found it. So I think as long as that run game can be close to what it was last week, with the weapons he has, his life's going to be pretty easy, and he kind of knew that. And he had a good feel for sort of you get a defensive score, you get a special team score, you're running the ball. Don't go out there and try to be Joe Burrow last year, because you don't have to be that to win the game. Go get a win. Complete your easy throws. Take your check downs. Don't try to play hero ball, and take a W and move on to the next one. And I felt like there was a lot of that in the way TJ Finley handled himself last week.
Cole, last year we saw Auburn's defense coordinator Kevin Steele come in here and really play an orthodox offense that we had never really seen from him before, and it actually slowed down the 2019 LSU offense as much as anyone did. Do you expect him to have something not similar to what he did for Joe Burrow, but something to say, hey, we're going against a true freshman, we're at home, here's what we're going to dial up, you haven't seen this yet?
Yeah, I think one of your bigger advantages is being able to say, okay, there's a lot that this guy hadn't seen. Let's go throw it at him and see how he reacts to it. Whether that is just, leaving the pocket early, looking confused, obviously making bad throws, throwing into coverage. I mean, you want to try to create all of that. So I would think that Kevin Steele probably goes into this game thinking we're not actually going to run a lot of complex defense, but we're going to make it look like we are. We're going to disguise a lot. We're going to change a lot. Pre-snap's going to look very different to post-snap, and just see if we can get this young man to throw the football to our guys, or at least not be sure where he wants to throw the football and hopefully create some mistakes. So, yeah, I would think – I don't know if it'll be that look you got last year, because, I mean, I'm not really trying to put down Auburn's D-line this year, but they don't have the guys to run a 3-down look or even a 4-down look and really be able to hold up against most SEC offensive line. They're going to need extra bodies. But I think what they do have is some versatility at the second and third level. I think you got a couple of linebackers in Jacoby McClain and Owen Popo who could really run. I mean, they run like safeties. Christian Tutton, Smoke Monday, Jamie and Sherwood, those guys can sort of line up at linebacker, corner, safety. A couple of those guys are very versatile as far as, physically their skill set, what they're able to do. So, yeah, I would anticipate seeing a lot of people lined up before the snap where they're not going to be lined up after the snap.
Cole Kublik is our guest. Cole, outside of the LSU-Auburn game, a lot of big favorites in the SEC games this weekend, but series like Arkansas A&M and Missouri-Florida have been really entertaining in close games in the past, even when there's been big favorites. Is there another game in the league that you're most intrigued by this weekend?
No, I think probably Florida-Missouri would be number one, and mainly because of Florida. I'm very interested to see what that team looks like. I'm very interested to see what that team is. If, defensively they weren't tackling well before this break they got, I have no reason to believe that they're going to come out and tackle a whole lot better. I mean, teams that play almost every week usually don't improve that much on their tackling across the course of a season. It just you're usually kind of a good tackling team or you're not. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. And the offense is as smooth as that thing was running. I'm interested to see can it be close? Because my understanding is the offensive line was one of the position groups that was hit pretty hard by COVID, so you don't know who's going to be available there or what kind of condition the guys are going to be in. So, whether it's Trask, Pitt, Tony, Cleveland, Grimes, I want to see if they're all on the same page, if they can sort of keep that thing going the way that it has been the entire season. And if you haven't watched Missouri, there are some really intriguing facets to that football team. It starts with Nick Bolton, who I think is the best linebacker in the SEC. They have a very active front. They're coached well. They hustle. They're a north-south defense, which for Florida, with some of the slower developing stuff that you have, is not always good. Some of the read stuff, some of the handoffs around getting different guys involved. That's why Kentucky ran into some problems, because you got 2-3 reads on each play. It takes a while to get going. Next thing you know, you got a guy in the backfield. You're in trouble. And I think Connor Basic's going to be a stud in this league. Yeah. I really think 2 years from now, a year and a half from now, we're going to have a lot of people looking up saying, where'd this kid in Missouri come from? When you should have been watching him his freshman year and realized how good he was going to be. I think he has that kind of arm. He has that kind of build, and you're already seeing him grow up. I mean, a couple times he stepped up in the pocket last week, and it just looks so comfortable. It just looks so normal. There's no panic in his game, and he can make more than every throw. So, and by the way, I mean, how surprised would you be to hear that Missouri owns the all-time series? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Very.
Missouri has given Florida fits since they came into the league. So it's a weird matchup, probably a bad matchup for Florida. The Arkansas thing, I get it. I see why people think it's intriguing, but I think the way that they've been able to be competitive and win a couple games is they sort of make you play their style game, especially Barry and what he's doing with the defense. But I think if he sits back against this offense, I think Jimbo, they'll just sit there and run the ball all day. That's the difference. Is we are seeing a real test of patience across college football this year, and it presents itself every week that the offensive coordinators are less patient than the defensive coordinators, because you got guys at multiple schools that can't stop throwing the ball. And you can look at Starkville, you can look at Oxford, you can look at a couple other schools that if they'd have just handed the ball. Look at Tennessee in the first half against Kentucky. What would the score of that game been if they handed it off on every play? Probably 7-3 at the half.
Yeah.
Go make an adjustment, come back and try to let your defense win it. I mean, damn. And there's been multiple teams this year that I look at and I'm like, what would the score have been if they handed it off on every play? Georgia, Alabama. Really, what would the score have been if they just handed it off on every play? Because they got a couple plays in the air, but it's not like they were torching Bama left and right. It's just Florida in the second half against A&M. What if they just handed it off on every play? Might get out of there with a win. So I think a lot of these offensive coordinators are running out of patience. Jimbo won't. Jimbo will just run it. That offensive line's playing good. Spiller has a really good feel for how that run game's operating, and I like the A&M defensive line. And that Arkansas line's still not very good. And you give Franks credit. He's got some weapons on the outside. They're finding ways to run the ball. Kendall Browse is a great play caller. But and that's another one that's been close every year. Like A&M's been 10 times as good of a football team, and Arkansas makes it a one-score game somehow. But this one's not in Jerry World. And I think this A&M team, they have a new light at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion. So I don't see them slipping up in this one.
Cole, we appreciate your time. Have a great football weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Cole Kulik from the SEC Network. We'll take a break. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
Foundation failure is common in South Louisiana, and that's why homeowners here turn to a local company they can trust, WCK Foundation Repair.
WCK is the only company that specializes in drilled piers, the ideal solution for Louisiana's unique soil conditions. WCK is locally owned and operated by a group of professionals with years of experience.
Learn more about the signs of foundation failure on WCKFoundationRepair.com. Call for a free estimate. WCK Foundation Repair. Support the home team.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care. It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Started making beer at home and immediately fell in love with it. After like the day of my first batch of brewing, I was already thinking, can I do this for a living?
Oh yeah, obsessed with it. He was totally consumed by it, and then looked at me one day and told me I was put on this earth to brew beer. And I was like, wow, that is such a bold statement. And if you can say that about anything, then you need to follow your dream and do it.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast.
Tune into a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time. We're live from Snow's Seafood and Steak over in Gonzales from 6 to 8 p.m. Come see us and say hello or listen here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
You know what we got tonight for the first time in a long time? We got no games. I mean, we were going to have Game 7. We might have had Game 7 of the World Series if, Kevin Cash hadn't taken Blake Snell out of the game for no apparent reason. And basketball's over. We got no Wednesday night football. We'll pick back up tomorrow night. So, you know what you got to do? You'll listen to Dead Ocean show tonight and Tiger Zone right after. Pick up a cold Coors Light. While you're doing that, listen to us tonight. Cold, crisp, refreshing mountain cold refreshment from Coors Light or the new Blue Moon Light Sky. Lighter body, brewed with real tangerine to give you a little bit of a citrusy flavor to it. Only 95 calories. Or the Vizzy Hard Seltzer coming in four different flavors in the variety pack. Black cherry, pineapple mango, blueberry pomegranate, strawberry kiwi, alcohol from real cane sugar. Only 100 calories in your Vizzy Hard Seltzer, all part of the Crescent Crown family here for Coors Light, the official beer of Hangin' with Hester.
And I am off. There's no flag football games either, so I get to get home a little bit earlier.
You can relax tonight.
And relax.
Yeah. And I know what you want to do when you relax is listen to me and Gordy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll put you on. I'll
maybe not you in particular,
if it's not raining, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be on in the pedal boat with a cold Coors Light and a fishing pole. But I can also have you weather permitting. But I can have you on the phone.
Okay.
Listening to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Coors Light, the official beer of Hangin' with Hester and Hanny, coming in the Made to Chill slim cans before the end of the month, which is at the end of the week. So coming up very, very soon. Hey, you've had bad beats before, right? One here and there.
Yeah.
It's happened to all of us. You get a scoop and score. You get a garbage touchdown. If you watch Scott Van Pelt on Monday night when he and Stanford Steve do the bad beats, Monday night was pretty much nothing but guys that had bet unders that got bad beats. And if you bet unders, you're just asking for it, but that's a whole different topic. The bad beat last night may have, I think, or this was actually Monday night, but we found out about it yesterday, may be the mother of all bad beat stories, right? This was a guy that lost this in fantasy football. Okay. It's a guy named Rob Huntz. I think it's Huntz. It might be Huntsy. But anyway, he had entered a contest with DraftKings, and there were over 175,000 entries. and he thought that his defense had scored points on a sack. And he's a 41-year-old guy from St. Louis. The sack, which was at the very end of the game on Jared Goff, would have given his defense enough points to where he would have won the contest outright Monday night for $1 million. So they called it a sack. And then after the game, so this guy thinks he's won $1 million, okay? It's posted to the site. You have won the contest. You have won $1 million, okay? So he takes his dog out for a walk, okay? Because if I won $1 million, that's what I want to go do. I want to go walk the dogs, right? Okay? And I love my dogs. But if I want $1 million, I mean, guys, you're gonna have to hang tight here. We're gonna
get to you in a minute.
We're gonna have a moment. So he takes his dogs on a walk around the block. 30 minutes later, comes back and finds out that the stat crew has changed the golf play from a sack to a running play. That cost him the sack. That cost him a first place finish into a tie for sixth, in which he received $3,078.94. He went from winning $1 million to winning $3,078.94 in the time it took to walk the dog.
What are you crow hopping and hitting as hard as you can?
Well, I hope not the dogs. Okay,
no. I'm a dog lover.
You know, you're
Scone.
You're gonna break some. If Scone would have been there, I'd have hit him for sure. Something's getting broken at that point.
I might cry crocodile tears. $1 million.
Certainly, there are going to be some foul oaths being.
I'm having to go to church the next night just to ask for forgiveness for what I said.
There's no question. Do you remember the game that Lane Kiffin? I think it was his first year. Was at Florida Atlantic, and they were winning the game. It was a Friday night game. They were winning. They were covering, and at the end of the game, they're trying to run out the clock, and there's just a little bit too much time, so he decides to take the safety. And usually, I can see the bad beats coming. Okay. It's like, this team's not taking a knee. I know they're going to score. Okay. This team is, they're continuing to play. Something bad is about to happen. Usually I can see it coming. But this time I didn't see it coming. And Kiffin, I'm just on the sofa. I'm just kind of hanging out. And all of a sudden, the punter turns around and hauls ass out the back of the end zone. And I just.
You knew.
As soon as he took it and went backwards, then I realized it's like, something that's it's too late. You know, you're watching the car wreck, but it's too late. I didn't see that one coming. This one, if I'm this guy, I wouldn't have seen coming. It's a stat correction. I've been a part of 1 million of these. You know, if you hang around after LSU games in the press area, the statisticians go through the book. I saw the baseball guys do this 1 million times. Okay, they go through. Well, is this earned? Oh, wait, we got to change this to unearned. Oh, was this an error? Oh, we got to change this. They changed it to a running play.
We can't play daily fantasy here in Louisiana, hopefully just for a little bit longer. But that's something that you don't deal with like on a normal bet. Like
this isn't a normal
change,
bad beat, right?
A sack change isn't going to affect you. It's the outcome of the game. And so some of this could be coming, and I hope it is, because I'd love to play daily fantasy football. I loved playing it when I was out of state. But can you imagine it being one guy, or it's probably a group of guys, saying, hey, that was a bootleg, but they were trying to run out the time. He was trying to okey doke and pull a bootleg run. There was no chance of pass. There was no receiver en route. This is a tackle for loss, not a sack. And they cost someone $997,000.
I wonder what the statistician thinks. The person that had to make this change. Not realizing.
Well, the person that actually won is probably going to buy him a hell of a gift basket.
There's like 6 of them that they got to split it, and nobody won the $1 million,
right?
So they split up the rest of the prize on that. So I want to see the next guy that goes up to this guy and says, "Man, did you hear about the bad beat I took?" No, I didn't.
Let me tell you. Yeah,
right.
Tell me more, please.
I try to one up this story.
Yeah.
Ask Us is next. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm, fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're also brought to you by Tiger Athletic Foundation. I tell you every single day, as a former LSU student athlete, I can tell you exactly what it means for LSU student athletes to have TAF on their side, not only on the field, but in the classroom as well. They do everything they can to help us be successful, to give us places like the football operations building, like the Cox Communication Center for student athletes. You also know that LSU Athletics is one of the very few programs in the nation who's remained self-sufficient in its operations during this very difficult, adversity-filled 2020 year. Due to the restrictions around COVID-19, the loss of essential revenue to LSU athletics is going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. But as you know, and I tell you all the time, we have a go here, and that go never stops. LSU and the Tiger Athletic Foundation is urging everyone to donate to the Victory Fund to help keep LSU student athletes going. Your support is critical to the future of LSU athletics. If you want to learn more information or donate to that Victory Fund, visit victory.lsutaf.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Hey, football fans, T-Bomb here, reminding you that Hooters is your headquarters for football. If you can't get in, they still got the Hooters girls, the TVs, the wings, the beer, everything you love about game day. But what if you're watching at your house? Maybe having some people over. You don't feel like cooking? Well, great. Hooters, they have your back. You download the Hooters app. You'll get a free app, and then you go and you pick up the food. You bring it home. Everybody loves you because you got Hooters wings, and game day, it's a match made in heaven. Download. Coming up on Thursdays, Off the Bench, Chef Michael Johnson answers your munchie questions. Chad Durbin recaps World Series. And Big Cat joins us to send Ben Mintz off to the Big Apple. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
I try to reconnect. We had to reschedule with Ronnie Brown, but we'll try to redo that for tomorrow. Had something come up, so we'll try to redo that for tomorrow. In the meantime, it's time for Ask Us, brought to you by Bayou 4, the Bayou 4 chat on YouTube. Ask Us, shrimp or chicken salad? This one's easy for me. Chicken salad. My grandmother got me hooked on chicken salad when I was a little boy. She made the best chicken salad ever. We had chicken salad sandwiches all the time. Huge chicken salad guy. So for me, it's chicken salad.
I'll take either. Chicken salad's fantastic. Shout out to Cush's in Shreveport. Up listening to 11:30 a.m. The Tiger, the best I've ever had.
Ask us, LSU has split time of possession 50-50 for the season prior to the TJ Finley start and held the ball for 37 minutes against South Carolina. Does that mean Finley should start? It means John Emery should start. Means Ed Ingram should damn sure start.
Thing. I was about to say the same thing. Gosh, it was such a difference maker. And again, everything you just said, Emery, Ingram, and also Ensminger and the staff for having variations of runs. I thought they did a really nice job of adding some runs to the game plan.
Ask us, who's been better in game this year, Glenn Logan or Apuaika?
I think Logan. That's not because of the news. Y'all have heard me talk about what Glenn Logan means to this team before the season. Obviously, he missed the first couple of games, and so getting his condition and all that back took him a little bit. But I think he's been a little bit better, and I think Joseph Evans has been undervalued in what he's been able to do. Go back and watch the tape. Again, if you want to disagree with me, I'll go through the tape with you. He's been really good at pushing the pocket and pushing it into the quarterback's lap.
Ask us, is Justin Turner a national hero?
Oh, because, he came back out after getting pulled out of the game in the 8th inning because he has a positive COVID test, came back out. I can absolutely understand why he's like, you're not telling me I can't celebrate.
You're not taking this away from him.
I am a free agent. I'm not going to probably won't be with this same group of guys ever again in my life. I'm probably not going to be a Dodger. I understand what's going on. I'm going to go out there and celebrate it. Now, a lot of people got mad because he took his mask off for the picture, and I understand. I understand all that. But I agree that you're not keeping me away from that moment.
Ask us, is there a dimension where Hanny scores on the 1-yard line against Florida and Hester covers for Jimmy out on Thursday?
Hanny, I never got a chance to see.
That one made me laugh.
I never had a chance to see you play, but if you got it on the goal line, are you going over the top? Are you going through the A gap? Or are you trying to bounce it?
Over the top of what? A slice of bread? No, I don't have much of a vertical. No. Oh, gosh, that one made me laugh. Ask us, do you start Brennan and go with TJ if things are not going well, or just start TJ? Well, Brennan's not eligible this week. I mean, if you listen to Coach O on the thing, it's not even an option for them. So, we'll get back to the who's going to play and how much next week. Let's see. Ask us, should supporting analytics in baseball carry the death penalty as punishment? Listen, I think there's room for analytics. Okay, I don't think it's a complete sham. It's not a hoax. There are places where it is definitely changed the game, and it has allowed the Tampas and Oaklands of the world to compete. Yeah. I'll tell you what I used to hate about baseball was that, when there were in the 90s, when there were 5 teams that, could really compete, or at different times in free agency when there were 5 teams that could really compete. And so if analytics is level the field a little bit more and allowed everybody to compete, then fantastic. But it doesn't mean I support
every team doing it. Like the Red Sox tried to do some of that this year. That's not who you are. You have the money to go out there and spend, even though it's not.
Well, you can do some analytics things. You can do some. They tried
to do a lot of it. And
the Dodgers do a lot of it. Okay, I mean they're as big as anything. You can do it with superior personnel. It works better, but man, you don't take.
With that lineup, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Tim Kirchin had a good line last night. He says, we've stopped watching the game. It's like we put the game on a computer. Okay, we automatically, third time through the order, we don't care if it's Roger Clemens in his heyday. He's coming out. No. I mean, it's a tool. It is not a chiseled in stone commandment, in my opinion. Ask us, why no Richard Dixon shout out on National Tight Ends Day? I didn't know it was National Tight Ends Day.
Shout out Richard Dick Dixon, National Tight Ends Day. Shout out to Foster Morrow. Shout out to Eric Gilbert. Shout out to David LaFleur.
All right.
Anybody? Thaddeus Moss, you too. You get a shout out.
Very good. Ask us, favorite kind of fish?
Anything fried? Y'all know I'm a redneck. I love a thin catfish.
Thin catfish is really good.
I love it.
Really good. If you find somebody that can cook it properly, because you can't really buy it, sakale is among the best eating fish, but you screw it up now. So find somebody who can cook it properly.
Everyone listening in Shreveport, white perch.
Okay.
What he's talking about.
Ask us, if you were the Oakland A's, would you shop for property in Vegas? I thought they had the stadium deal done. I thought they were actually going to build them a stadium.
They need to, because my God,
that's the worst stadium in sports.
Is a dumpster fire.
Let's see. Ask us, who will win the Super Bowl?
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, who will win the Super Bowl?
Well, I said last week the Pittsburgh Steelers were the best team in the NFL, and so currently, as we sit here, I'll stay with that.
Just on a lark, the Seattle Seahawks, maybe?
Just when think about when they get healthy.
Ask us, do the Hesters drive up? Do the Hesters dress up as a family when they go out in the church van, like the Von Tropps or the Addams family?
No, we need to though. When we roll deep. I can tell you that. There's no question. By the way, speaking of dressing up, are we going to dress up for Friday's show? Are we going full Halloween costumes here?
We're going to vote on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Vote on that tomorrow. We got an idea. Ask us, are you usually early or late?
I'm always early.
Yeah.
Being late is something that's for the birds. My dad taught me that a long time ago.
I try to be early. I can't tell you I always accomplish it as well as I would like to. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to let you answer this one because it's for you. Ask us, why is Hester sorting pins? If you're watching on TV, Hester's got his colored pins. I think we've...
I sort pins because every team that I talk about, when I break down that team, I write whatever notes I have of that team in their colors. That way my eye is kind of drawn to it when I'm talking about them on radio or TV. I don't really have to search for my stats. And so I'm just cleaning up my desk before Scone comes in here because he pushes us out here pretty quickly. It's a NASCAR transition. So I'm getting my 97 pins of the different college football team colors in order.
Last one. Ask Hanny, do you think losing Ika is no big deal? I don't like to lose players that I think can help your team. So, yes, every time you lose a player that I think can help you, I think it's a big deal. So would rather that not happen. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Josh Ward and Paul O'Neill, for Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard,